the most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real-world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And welcome race fans to the 13th and second to final round of the Karts Computers Racing Series second season. And tonight we come to you from the virtual Daytona International Speedway for a race that, well, between the high banked corners and the largest field we've had in several races so far, is one that overall this looks to be a really good and enjoyable experience for our second to final race of the year and our second to final oval. Now, unfortunately, again, no race recap tonight. We have quite a few things to go over, so I feel it best to just set the time aside to get a chance to talk and kind of go over what's going to happen for tonight's race. Well, first of all, we come to the Daytona International Speedway at night, the first night race we've had in a little while. Luckily, the newer model of Daytona International Speedway has the great stadium lighting there, so it makes it a lot easier to properly use for racing events such as this one. And well, tonight I believe we actually have a 14-driver field, the most we've had in quite a few weeks. I made a call out to a couple of guys from a series that I run part-time on Thursdays, and they were kind enough to join us for tonight's festivities. And overall, I think they are a group of sportsmanlike good guys. And overall, I'm just hoping for some good racing product tonight. And well, if you think back to our first restrictor plate race of the season at Talladega to start off our season, well, that was a very chaotic affair for sure, including a final corner crash that put out the top 4 guys and led to Michael Krobach actually being the first guy to get back up to speed and winning it after immediately getting in a crash a couple seconds earlier. So we had a crazy finish at Talladega earlier this year, some great racing, and well, unfortunately, a couple of guys will miss tonight's race. Overall, I think we're gonna have a good turnout, and it will be absolutely imperative in our championship battle. Now, of course, the championship battle getting to a very important point here this late in the season because, well, tonight is the second to final race of our season, and well, I don't mean to spoil it for the point standings we're going to put up in just a moment, but well, 6 points are separating our top 3 drivers in the standings right now. Those being Andrew Bedrosian, Logan Paxa, and Michael Krobach. Not, of course, in that order, but it's been a crazy season overall, and these NASCAR races, well, they may have gotten a little bit predictable at an earlier point last season, and maybe a little bit at the earlier of this point of this season. They've gotten more and more anybody could win them in the last little while, especially not to mention at a wildcard track like Daytona. But you think back to some of our races earlier this season. We went to Michigan, we had a caution-free race that time. Same with Pocono, no cautions at our Pocono race. And while Michael did win both Talladega and Michigan to start the season, Andrew Bedrosian came away with the win at Pocono earlier this year, and well, that kind of opened my eyes to the fact that, well, really anybody at these NASCAR tracks can win, provided they have a good enough race. They can just make some good, consistent lap times that don't cause them to get in incidents, hit the wall, take damage, or anything like that. And I think a lot of doing well in a NASCAR race, especially one like this one, just comes down to not only fuel management and tire management. I guess not so much tire management here at Daytona. The tire management's virtually non-existent here at such a large restrictor plate track with very high banking. But really, it's about your ability to manage driving in packs. That's really all that NASCAR is, and it's something that sets it apart from other races that we run in our series. Like even last week at Laguna Seca and the IndyCars, that was so much about individual pace, not making individual incidents, rather than how you interact with others. And in tonight's race, it's going to be much more of that pack managing format that we saw to start off our season at Talladega. So I'm really looking forward to that, because those races where it's, you got to incorporate the traffic around you and try to. It's just a lot more personal racing. It feels a lot more like karting in that respect, where it's guys a lot more swirling and swerving around each other, and you're a lot more conscious of the people that you're driving with, rather than it feeling like you're just running a time trial that happens to have drivers around you. So I'm really looking forward to tonight's race. I know that we may not have a fancy pre-show prepared. I don't have the little intro that I did last week. As our championship drivers, I mean, really, I can't elaborate on that last race because, well, we'll go over it in a second and I'll talk about it. And absolutely, for those of you that didn't see our last race but are tuning in tonight, our race at Laguna Seca was one of the best that we've had in our series in a long time, at least on the road course respect. Shout outs to Max Preston, who won that race. And an absolute barn burner of an affair. I mean, he won it in the last corner from Andrew Bedrosian. Both of the two drivers. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to spoil what happened there in the final corner, but Max Preston did get the win in that one, and unfortunately, he won't be able to join us tonight on the racing side. He does have commitments in his personal life that he has to go deal with first, but there is the possibility that he will get the time put aside to tonight to actually commentate our tonight's race, to kind of co-commentate with me here in the booth. And I know Justin Luke did it with me earlier this season for round 3, I believe, at Charlotte, but his teammate there at now MJ Motorsports, now that Max has won the most recent race in our series, the other MJ Motorsports teammate may hop in here with me and commentate it out, which is always better, because I love having a co-commentator here for big restrictor plate tracks like this, where there's just so much going on that it's good to have a guy to bounce stuff off of. But an absolutely great win for him last week, so again, congrats to Max Preston for that. But overall, tonight is just it's going to throw the points into chaos, because, well, as you can see out there, all the race information that I should go over very quickly. But the Daytona International 250, and of course, not having a sponsor, we can't really do a less generic name than that. But well, the Daytona International 250 tonight with 14 drivers in tonight's field. As you can see there on the bottom, round 14 at Darlington Motor Speedway is the finale of our series, coming next Friday on August 28th. But there's the information for tonight's race. You see partly cloudy, but very hard to tell, as it is a night race. We were running at, virtually 9 o'clock at night, or I guess what is 21 hours if you're going by the 24-hour clock there. Track length there, as you can see, just 3.99 kilometers, aka 2.5 miles. As 2.5 miles, we'll be running 100 laps tonight, equals out to 250 laps. And that is about all I can mention. It's a pretty traditional tri-oval style, more similar to something of Michigan or somewhat Talladega. Of course, Talladega has a very late finish line, and Daytona has that famous middle of the tri-oval banked finish line here, which we will see from a lovely camera angle I've added on tonight. But yeah, well, for starters, that is the first thing to mention is, well, we are currently in somebody's qualifying session. Whose is that? We are in Manuel Guerra's qualifying session, so that's a little bit cool. I kind of want to try. I never get the chance to go for this, but I do have a qualifying. Oh my goodness, that is really cool. Okay, well, I've never actually used this, ladies and gentlemen, but very quickly we are going to, in the background, put up your qualifying results just to check in as they unfold. So it's kind of the F1 style qualifying graphic. I've never actually used it before, but well, that gives you a good idea of what kind of lap times they're running. Purple being their personal, or the all-time best at the in the entire session. So Sector 1 being up until the middle of the backstretch, and then Sector 2 being the rest of the track. So as you can see, Jean Guerra slots in there in the 12th spot. But we're going to go over all that in just a second once we've got all the housekeeping done in terms of points and things like that. But let's just hop to a neutral qualifying session so we don't have the car noises in the background. But first of all, let us just put up your driver standings heading into the 13th round tonight at Daytona International Speedway. Just got to get that out of the way. There we go. So there are your point standings heading into tonight. And well, if you're me, the first thing that you notice when you see those point standings is, well, look at how close the top three guys are: 10:37, 10:33, and 10:31 respectively from Paxa, Bedrosian, and Krobach. And Bedrosian actually leapfrogged Krobach in the last race there at Laguna Seca. Had a great performance there. Him and Paxa got in an incident late in the race that, well, the long-term damage of that meant that Max Preston was able to make the move, get in a battle with him, and win it in the last corner. But Andrew now passes Michael as a result of still coming away with a second spot there. And Michael knows that the IndyCar road courses aren't particularly his specialty as compared to the oval races. So even to be that close to the guys ahead of him, Andrew's definitely an oval contender, and he could really win anywhere in our series at this point. But well, Logan's definitely the guy to look out for, because again, he's had talent in the ovals in the past. He had a pretty good race to start off our season at Talladega, and he's always been quick whenever he's come out to ovals, and he's definitely contended for sure. But well, from a schedule perspective, Andrew and Michael are definitely going to be at the most advantage in the final two races, both here at Daytona and then at Darlington next week. So it's definitely not the schedule I'm sure Logan would like to see ahead of him, but considering he is your points leader there, 4 ahead of Andrew and 6 ahead of Michael, well, the ball's in his court, really. If he can just keep up with those two guys, and if he could come away with a win tonight, that would be absolutely huge for him. But well, the other thing that would stand out to me is look at those top 5 drivers, all of which, 4 of the 5 of which having the Lad Pedal affiliate on the beginning of their team name. So all those guys from the several Lad Pedal teams in our series, they all have a pretty successful background here at the ovals, and of course they will likely be trying to work together tonight. But well, Logan has never had a shortage of guys that would be willing to work with him in the past, and he's just such a reliable guy that I'd imagine he'll find help if he's able to tonight, and he'll have more help than he usually would, as I'm not sure if I mentioned it yet, but we do have a few guys subbing in from my other series that may be able to help him out. I know they're all pretty clean racers there, and then you talk about the Diabolique Motorsports racers there. Max Preston, as I mentioned, won't be able to make it in with us tonight, but like guys like Marshall Crocker Sr., Woody Mahan makes his return in tonight's race, so there's definitely a lot of talented guys that could throw their name in the hat for a successful finish tonight. Important to mention also Justin Lillick will not be joining us tonight, as he is busy once again, as I kind of foreshadowed last week. So that is your individual driver's points, but if we go to the constructor standings here, I guess the team standings, constructors is relative, because none of these guys have constructed any of these cars. It's fixed setups, but well, there are your team standings heading into tonight's race. Of course, Woody Mahan joining that Lead Pedal R&D team that is only impressively 73 points behind LPM Blue for the number 1 spot. And again, important to mention that Andrew Bedrosian has been single-handedly carrying that team the entire season. He didn't have a teammate until the race before last, and then Woody Mahan missed last week's race. So Woody is back tonight, and we'll look forward to putting in some points for that team there and see if we can close up the team standings. But Logan Motorsports, which is entirely Logan Pax's points, is only, 18 points behind, or sorry, that is horrible math, 35 points behind LPM Blue in front of him. So the team standings are closer than they've ever been up there for the top two. So looking forward very much to seeing what those guys will be able to put together in tonight's race. After that, JM Motorsports, which I guess should be MJ Motorsports, that is on me to fix for next time. But 281 points. So even they're not that far behind. Any in the top 4 could realistically make a push up there into the top 2 or 3 spots. And well, of course, the prize money and the all-time bragging rights go to the winner only. But it's always late in the season. It's always interesting to see who can move up and down the tally. Well, some of the other guys are focused on the championship battle. So, final thing to mention: Diabolique Motorsports and LPM Green only separated by 1 point tonight. So, well, plenty to fight for, and I'm looking forward to seeing how guys fight for said positions. But with that being said, we only have 1 minute to go in qualifying. We'll throw up your qualifying results once again before we finally get to show you the official grid for tonight. And there is your current qualifying grid results for the time being. 2/10 separating 1st and 13th tonight. If that doesn't tell you how bizarre restrictor plate qualifying is, I don't know what would. It almost identical strategies everybody would be running, because it's a restrictor plate track. You don't have cars around you to draft with, and the entire strategy for Daytona for qualifying is pretty much sit on the gas, hug the yellow line there on the inside, and that's about the end of story. So, well, best of luck to anybody to find success tonight and move up through the field. Track position is not the most important here at Daytona, certainly not at the beginning of a 100-lap event, but we are coming to the end of qualifying in just a moment. We'll get the official grid put up, but Woody Mahan, if he's able to keep that time, which I believe he will, would become the 4th different pole sitter of our season and get his first pole in our series. So it is indeed over. Woody Mahan, a veteran of the Lead Pedal Motorsports team, of course, meaning that, well, you can automatically assume that he has oval experience, and I know he's said that he's definitely more of a IndyCar guy, and at the IndyCar oval this season earlier at the All-Star race, he was absolutely dominant, then got a second-place performance the race before last at Charlotte Roval. So he's had a great stretch of races, and then he won a Skip Barber race out of nowhere. So the question is, what is Woody Mahan best at? But well, genuinely, I don't know. He just seems to have quite a bit of speed everywhere, so I'm looking forward to seeing what he can put together tonight. But there is your starting grid for tonight's race. We actually have enough drivers that I will have to pan through it, which is very exciting. But, well, there is your top 12 there on the inside of row 1. Woody Mahan running a 47.638 second lap. Only 15 thousandths of a second back is Lead Pedal Motorsports' sort of teammate, not official teammates in the team standings there. In the number 3 car, Mr. Michael Krobach. Of course, Woody Mahan running in the 27 car, as was a little bit of a out there entry, but the guys that got here later in the series have higher numbers. On the inside of row 3 is Mr. Logan Paxa there, running in the number 1 Logan Motorsports car. Josh Gallagher sitting there in 4th in the Lead Pedal Motorsports green entry in the number 6 car. On the inside of row number 3, Rich Foligno with Devin Crosby to his outside. Jordan West sitting in the 7th position in the number 9 Blackout Racing entry. Only a 10th back. Again, like the distinctions in time between the top guys is minuscule. So after that, Carl Dronka, the first of our kind of stepping in one-off guys for tonight from my other series, coming all the way from New Jersey, which is actually pretty cool. I didn't know that they put in the hometowns in place of team names if they don't have them. Learning something new every day. Andrew Bedrosian, I think this is probably one of the lower spots he's qualified in all season. I don't think at a NASCAR race he's been that far back. But again, when you talk about a restrictor plate track here, qualifying isn't always the most indicative of actual race pace. So we'll see how he's able to perform tonight. But after that, Austin Knight Again, another one of those guys making a one-off appearance in tonight's race and driving the 210 car. You can tell the two one-off guys there, Carl and Austin, by the fact that they are both driving three-digit cars. As for Carl, I did not, the other driver, Mr. Keith Lee, I did not get the chance to change his. So in the 11th and 12th positions, sitting there on row number 6, both Diabolique Motorsports cars, Manuel on the inside and John on the outside. And finally, got to scroll down one more row. We have Marshall Crocker Sr. on the inside and Keith Lee making his debut there on the outside. Well, we got to hurry because we got to pull down your race grid, get ready to go for tonight's race. As we are about to take the green flag here at Daytona International Speedway, Woody Mahan in the black, red, and yellow number 27 entry will lead him to the green. Green flag is out. Woody's on the gas pedal. Green flag at Daytona International for the Daytona International 250 in the second final round of the Karts Computers Racing Series. See here racing under the lights, the beautiful scenery we have, all the new car liveries, so much to talk about tonight. But, well, for the start, we head up to your race leader, Mr. Woody Mahan. Getting off to a great start. Doesn't seem to be any incidents further back in the field. Right as I say that, Jordan West goes around into somebody else. I believe we have a caution immediately. Michael's up in the air, hits one of the Diabolique entries. Manuel swerves out of the way. Andrew swerves out of the way. Jordan West, I think, was the main starter there of that incident. I think he was the kindling that set the fire ablaze. But, well, really, we got to go to an immediate replay because I'm not sure what exactly happened there. I mean, we saw him get a little bit squirrely there with, I think that's the 6th entry to the outside of him. Let's see here as they go by. Try to get a good freeze frame here, a good wide shot. We'll go to the blimp cam. That's usually a pretty good one of explaining incidents away. So Jordan West in the 9 car on the inside. There's Josh Gallagher in the 6 up on the outside. Looking pretty clean here. Josh just dives to the inside, comes into him. I think he just thought that he had cleared him by then. But, well, huge bounce from Michael Krobach. One of the craziest flips I've ever seen. Of course, with the stock cars, naturally, as a result of flipping, they always try to get the momentum away with those root flaps that unfortunately do cause them to spin when they're hit. But, yeah, you see Jordan come into him, and there's Michael. You'll see it in a moment when massive contact with the 210 of Austin Knight. Oh, look at the bounce he takes off the wall into the catch fence. The front nose of that number 3 car is just absolutely destroyed. You can see through the hood, which is, of course, never an ideal thing for a car that would be actually working. So we'll see it one more time there. So, yeah, Josh coming down, thinks he's cleared, or he thinks Jordan's cleared him, gets into him, and just massive bounce. Look at that. That is, again, one of the crazier crashes I've ever seen in our series. But, well, if that's not indicative of what Daytona International Speedway is going to do to cars, I don't know what is. So, Michael Krobach, Devin Crosby, I believe Keith Lee made it by. But Manuel Guerra partially involved. Same with John Guerra. Austin Knight was in it, and you see huge damage to his front hood. So, hopefully he's one of his quick repairs and gets back up to speed. Carl Dronka was able to avoid it, as well as Andrew Bedrosian. And despite the fact that Josh Gallagher did get into Jordan to start it, I believe he has a car that is good enough and up to speed enough to make it through the rest of this stint. So, a couple of cars heading down pit road there. We see Josh Gallagher coming in. Mr. Andrew Bedrosian comes in. Carl Dronka there in the number 100 car. Austin Knight in the 210. Manuel Guerra in the number 12. Michael Krobach, who was sitting up there on the outside of the first row at the start of that stint. All the way back now in 11th. Well, temporarily, until we see where he comes out of the pits. We'll see who wins the race off pit road. Marshall Crocker Sr. and Devin Crosby, the last 2 drivers on pit road. Head to your pit lane cam, see who's able to win the race off pit road first. Who's going to hop out? The jack's starting to fall. We see Andrew Bedrosian coming out first, followed by Josh Gallagher in the 6, Austin Knight in the 210. Where will Michael swat out? He'll come out next. A little ways back, I think that's Marshall Crocker Sr. who will make the move on a couple of guys getting quick repairs. So he will pass Devin Crosby as well as Manuel Guerra. And who is the next driver after that? I think it's Carl Dronka there in the number 100 car. So Carl will head out, followed by Manuel. And Devin is the final driver left in the pit, still getting his quick repair. So, well, with that, we head all the way back up to the front of the grid once again. As well, as a very short first stint, less than a lap here. And now we head up to your race leader, Mr. Woody Mahan. Let's try to get a closer shot of his car and maybe talk about Woody, because again, he's had a great start to the season. And we talk about his race just a couple weeks back at Charlotte Roval, where, well, to my knowledge, he didn't come from a Skip Barber background, but, well, in a crazy, chaotic race with battles pretty much the entire time. He was caught in a hard-fought battle there with Justin Lewick, who ended up winning that race at the end, but, well, he did his very best and came only a corner away. So Woody, you could argue, should have a win in this series already, but came so close there, came so close at the All-Star race. He's now finished second in, I think, the 2 races he's run in our series. So the question is, as he starts on pole, and interestingly enough, in a Mustang, which I know Rich Foligno in the background there has one, but you don't see a lot of Mustangs in iRacing stock car racing. But, well, as I believe we come to the final lap of this current caution stint, which is nice because the last thing we want is a bunch of long caution stints prolonging the already very long 100-lap race of attrition. The lights on the pace car are off, so we're going to go green next time by. With that being said, though, Woody will lead us to green this next time by in that kind of retro throwback number 27 Haviline car. I know that was one that they ran a lot in the NASCAR back in the day. I'm trying to think who would have run that entry. I think, what? I don't know. There's a bunch of old NASCAR names swirling around in my head, but definitely a little bit of a throwback entry for sure. But behind him, Mr. Logan Paxel will now move up to second from third position at the start of tonight's race. Rich Foligno has moved up from the inside of row 2 to now technically the inside of row 3 there, sitting in the third spot there in the number 4 entry. John Guerra, the biggest mover of the race so far, moving from 12th to 4th in that very first stint. That Diabolique Motorsports number 11 car was absolutely great in the first race of our season at a fellow restrictor plate track there at Talladega. So the precedent is there that he could have a good race tonight. We'll see if he's able to do so there from the 4th spot. Keith Lee there in the 61 car making his debut tonight in a one-off. He will be 5th at the start of this next stint, moving up 9 spots from the back of the field at the start of the green there. So making good progress for him already tonight. Andrew Bedrosian, the number 22 car there. You see with the big dog head on the hood, one of the best liveries in our series right now. Sitting there in the number 22 car, moved up 3 spots from 9th at the start of that stint. Finally, Josh Gallagher, I believe, ran out the cars that did not need to pit that last time by. And from Austin Knight on back, all of the drivers there were somewhat involved in the incident that brought out the first caution of our race and hence had to come into the pits. With that being said, we're getting ready to head back to green here for the second time in tonight's race. I believe this will be the start of lap number 4 here of 100 in tonight's race at Daytona International Speedway. The pace car will take the right onto pit road in just a moment. Let's pull down Mr. Woody Mahan's name here, and we'll get ready to go green here for yet another time at Daytona International Speedway. We're going to watch the guys as they cross the line. Woody is now on the gas pedal. Everybody's up to speed. Green flag here at Daytona International Speedway for the Daytona International 250. On lap 5, I should say 95 to go. Everybody getting off to a good start there. Logan right on the back bumper of Mr. Woody Mahan as we come into corners 1 and 2 for the first time. Woody and Logan starting to pull away. Got a great run there on the restart. Looking back a little bit further in the field, you see Rich Foligno there, followed by Andrew Bedrosian. Andrew already moving up 2 spots. Same with Josh Gallagher. John Guerra has dropped 2 spots. Keith Lee has dropped, I think, about 3 or 4 since the start of that green flag stint. Everybody's starting to get into lines there. You see that inside line is, well, it's Mahan, Paxa, Foligno, Bedrosian. That's one of the Garras there. I think that's John Guerra with Josh Gallagher behind him. And Keith Lee there with Austin Knight and his outside, the 2 one-offs. Actually, all 3 one-off drivers running right next to each other there in the 61, 210, and 100 respectively. Seeing smoke up ahead somewhere, but no considerable crash to mention as of yet. And Marshall Crocker Sr. running back there in the Jeff Gordon livery there, almost entirely including the number there. He's making pretty good progress. I believe he's sitting in 9th as we speak. 10th, I should say. And the draft there on Austin Knight could make a move any second, but well, the fellow Exalta sponsorship entry there of Jordan West is going to head to the outside in the 9 car. Try to make the move up there, but well, we'll see if he has the momentum to do so. I don't think he got enough of a slipstream to bother right now, so well, for the time being, looks like everybody's going to slide in on an inside lane except for Devin Crosby with Manuel Guerra to his outside, but I think Devin should be able to clear him in just a moment. Devin's actually got damage to his rear left and his front left, so it looks like he decided not to use his quick repair there in that first pit stop that took so long, and that would make sense as to why, but well, bold move there by Devin Crosby to not go for the quick repair on that last pit stop, so we'll see if that plays to his advantage late in the race. If we see too many crashes, I guess he's banking on the fact that we're going to have a pretty chaotic race here. Andrew Bedrosian with a big swerve there, trying to go past Rich Foligno, but Rich quickly moved up to block, and well, Logan Pax and Woody Mahan, an interesting combination there, working together up front. I mean, Woody is a well, right as I say that, Logan's going to drive to the outside, but well, Woody Mahan is a Ladapeta Motorsports guy at well, I was going to say at heart, but he's also a Ladapeta Motorsports affiliate teammate, so well, the fact that he is working with Logan is interesting for sure, knowing that Logan is battling with 4 other Ladapeta Motorsports drivers for the championship. Now Logan's going to get shuffled back there on the outside line. All the inside line guys are going to head by. That's Woody Mahan with Rich Foligno and Andrew Bedrosian in his draft, but Logan's still on the outside of Bedrosian, and if anybody wants to move up and go help him, he might finally have some help. But the 11 car, John Guerra, might be coming up quick there to push Logan. Genuine possibility there. That's a combination we haven't really seen so far this season, but Josh Gallagher there a little ways back and on the inside is going to dive to the inside of John, see if he can make a move work. Carl Dronka there behind Josh Gallagher in the 100 car. Those guys get a little squirrely. Now Austin Knight's going to look to the outside, gets spun by Jordan West. Immediately thought about a move up top and then back down, sliding across the track. I think we're going to have a caution come out in just a moment as he is parked there. We do. So second caution of the night for Mr. Austin Knight getting turned by Jordan West. And that was just an interesting incident because everybody really got checked up. I'm not sure what exactly happened. I think somebody just got kind of a poor run there off corner 2 and it didn't quite get up to speed. So you see Austin think about a move up high, tries to get his spot back almost immediately, and Jordan West put his nose there with a pretty good run to the guy in front of him, and I don't know, just a little bit of a miscommunication there. It doesn't look like significant damage for Austin Knight, so we should be able to get back up to speed, and well, he will head back to green in just a moment there. Yeah, it looks like a pretty clean race car to me. I mean, he bounced through the grass a little bit there, but seeing as we are running on the current version of Daytona, I think the infield grass is a lot more forgiving than at the Legacy version. So, well, we're going to go to one more camera angle there, maybe go to the chopper camera one more time and see what exactly happened there coming out of turn 2. So, Austin's getting a huge run to Carl. Josh gets a little squirrely, checks Carl up. Austin thinks about going up high, realizes Marshall Crocker Sr. is there, and when he tries to come back down, Jordan West just closed that lane off. So, again, just kind of a miscommunication. I wouldn't necessarily pin that on anybody specifically, but, well, now looking back at our top 3 drivers here as we get ready for the 3rd green flag of the night. Of course, we got a couple laps to do under caution first. We'll see if anybody decides to come into the pits on lap number 12, I believe. But the 27 of Woody Mahan leading tonight's race, as he was at the start of the last stint, had Logan Paxa pushing him for quite a while there, but, well, I think in the chaos there that was going on, Logan just kind of got shuffled to the top side a little bit, and well, as a result, Rich Foligno and I believe at the time, Andrew Bedrosian jumped down there to the inside, so we had a loud pedal top 3. But, well, Logan made the move back before the caution came out, so I believe we have a couple guys coming down pit road as we speak, hence all the positions swirling around there up top. The first of which is Marshall Crocker Sr. in the 24 car coming into the pits, with Michael Krobach behind coming into the pits for the 2nd time tonight. Not sure if he's going to need a quick repair, but for his sake, hopefully not. Might be trying to make a fuel strategy work or something of that sort. And Devin Crosby, the final driver coming into the pits here. Thank you, Mr. iRacing Camera, for choosing to put yourself there. So there we go. You see him running that green number 5 LPM entry, one of the better liveries in our series. It's a great night for car liveries, I should mention. Maybe we'll do a bit of a through the field as we wait for the next caution stint to happen. I will eventually do a in-car interview with Mr. Michael Krobach at some point, but well, for the time being, we'll let him try to figure his stuff out first before we head there. Let's just do a little bit of a through the field segment to see exactly where your favorite driver sits after 12 of the first 100 laps in tonight's race. Mr. Woody Mahan continues to lead tonight's festivities as well, he was your pole sitter, led the second caution led the second green flag, and will now do so for the 3rd one, assuming he doesn't, of course, pit. But yeah, Woody is in his brief time in the series has definitely made a big impact, and well, him and Logan Paxa seem to have a pretty good kind of deal going. They were vibing pretty well there as drafting buddies, and it's something interesting to see is exactly who was able to work together well and who has very similar racing lines as would correlate well to work together to make some bump drafts and make up some room on track. And I mean, we saw Andrew Bedrosian and Michael Krobach be 2 guys that were great at that at the beginning of the season, and by the looks of it, Logan and Woody kind of had that going there at the start, but Logan got shuffled back, so we'll see if he's able to get a good start and maybe pass Rich Foligno. And well, if he's able to do so, then Woody might have a drafting buddy sooner rather than later. But after that, Mr. Rich Foligno sitting back there in the 2nd position, moved up 3 spots from 5th all the way to 2nd. See, they're driving his classic Ford Mustang entry there. For Lad Pedal Motorsports Blue, he is one half of the team standings leading one Lad Pedal Motorsports Blue duo, I should say. So they're having a great season there. That tandem has been very successful so far. So, well, best of luck to them for the remainder of the season. But they've got Logan Paxa, the one-man wrecking crew for Logan Motorsports, right behind them, as Logan's teammate Logan Ferguson hasn't been seen in our series in I think 5 or 6 races. So Logan Motorsports Logan's running a great livery tonight. It's got the Ally Pride entry, so got a good cause there behind him, and it's a really cool livery for sure. Got the white and the rainbow there, so well, it'll definitely stand out as compared to some of our other entries tonight. But speaking of entries that'll stand out, we go back to the green and yellow little dog car there of Andrew Bedrosian, and I feel important to mention the teeth there that you see there on the grill. Quite the overall interesting livery for sure that he's running in tonight's race, and well, he's got the hashtag never quit there on the dash. I know he makes his own car liveries, as several guys in the series do. So the very vibrant 22 car there sits in 4th, moving up from 9th at the start of tonight's race. And then one of the 2 identical Diabolic Motorsports cars, both really beautiful entries there, running with the yellow. Mr. John Guerra rounds out your top 5 there in the number 11 car. Getting ready to go. He's moved up 7 spots from 12th at the start of tonight's race, and getting ready to go for your 3rd green flag start of the race. Lights on the pace car are off, so we are just about to head green in a moment. Again, you go over the top 5 one more time. It is Mahan, Foligno, Paxa, Bedrosian, and Guerra followed by Keith Lee after that. Then Josh Gallagher, Carl Dronka, Jordan West, Manuel Guerra, Austin Knight, Devin Crosby, Michael Krobach, and Marshall Crocker Sr. Getting ready to go green in tonight's race. Woody Mahan is once again the control car. He's already on the gas pedal green flag for the third time in tonight's race after the second caution break so far. Coming across the line so far, nobody appears to have made any crazy moves yet. Andrew's going to hop to the outside of Logan Paxa, though. Logan's going to immediately dive for the inside, try to get a draft going with some of the guys in front of him. Everybody all clear through the first corner, and see the guys as they come through corner 2. Everybody once again in the line. You see, I think that's who is that in the top entry? Mr. Keith Lee, I believe, is in the draft, and Andrew Bedrosian there in the number 22 car. So the 61 and the 22 might be able to team up in just a moment, provided the slipstream's strong enough to carry Mr. Lee all the way up there. Nobody really moving out of line yet, trying to make moves as what is only lap 12 of the race. That may be a little early. Andrew with a bit of a tap to the inside of Rich Foligno. Rich kind of swerves as a result, but manages to keep everything gathered up so we make it through and don't go to our third caution of the race. Let's see, it's Rich there on the inside, bouncing off of Andrew Bedrosian, still trying to get a little bit high. Might be trying to make a move there and push up the 22 of Bedrosian there. I'm not sure. For two partial teammates, pretty aggressive maneuvering going on between the 4 and the 22. Now the 1 of Logan Pax is going to move up to the top row, maybe block Keith Lee or try to move in behind Andrew Bedrosian, whoever he thinks would be a better drafting partner at this point. Logan's still swerving around. A ton of chaos. Jordan West has moved up to a couple spots, now 4th in that inside line. Chasing down John Guerra, almost peeks into the outside. That might have been a wreck there if he'd done so, but decides to wait for the time being. So up at the front now, Andrew Bedrosian has gone all the way around Woody Mahan, now takes the lead in tonight's race. So Andrew should lead a lap here, and we'll get the bonus point for doing so. Now Logan slots in behind the 27, the 4, and the 61, a couple car lengths back now. Keith Lee is sitting on the outside. Now John Guerra in the 11 is going to head to the inside. Carl Dronka, I believe, is trying to give a push to the 61. Maybe get up through the field himself alongside him. Will Jordan give a push to the 11 here? Try to get him past Keith Lee there in the 61 on the outside. Well, Jordan and Keith both making significant progress. We'll see if either one of them are going to be able to move through the field. Speaking of moving through the field, Michael Krobach is all the way back up to 10th, moving up 3 spots since the start of that last green flag. You see Jordan's going to make the move there on Keith, and Carl's going to drop to the inside, try to fall in behind the 9 car. Jordan's getting a little bit too far away, but Keith's going to get shuffled out all the way to the top side and going to cut back in. I believe we'll have 9th place rights when he does so. So Keith Lee in the 61 will move back in. Now Manuel Guerra there in the 12 might think about a pass. After that, Michael Krobach is just flying through the field, making a ton of progress. Now he's on the outside of the 12 car. Going to go side by side up into turn 1. He's got enough room there to maybe make a move on the outside, but I think he needs Carl Dronka there in the number 100 car to move back a little bit, and he's just too far in the draft. So Manuel will get the track position there, and now moving back up a little bit. Jordan makes the move on John Guerra on track, but not sure exactly where those two gentlemen are. Now Jordan West leads the cars on the outside, getting a big push from Carl Dronka, kind of swerves as a result. But huge push from Carl to Jordan. Jordan's now past Rich Foligno all the way up into the 4th spot. Can he slot down that inside the line? And well, if he did so, it would hang his number 100 teammate there of sorts, Carl Dronka, out to dry. Now Logan Pax is going to pop out. Not sure where he's thinking of going, but he's going to come up to the top and try to see if he can get a push from Jordan West there in the 9 car. The 11 of Jean Guerra is making moves there, sliding around on the inside. Andrew Bedrosian maybe get a big push from the 4 this time. Andrew's going to head up to the top line to get pushed by Logan, which is an interesting move there. It's now going to give the inside to Woody Mahan, who has a huge run there. Now he's going to take the lead back. He's got Rich behind him there in the 4 car. Will Rich be able to get the push going on Woody Mahan? As of right now, it is not looking like it, but John Guerra is still an important piece there of the puzzle in the back. We see Manuel Guerra pop out. Looks to get back on track, and he does so. Somebody in the background, I think, is off there on the grass. We don't have a caution as of yet, but let me just check and confirm that is the case. So Josh Gallagher is running off the pace and is now back on track, but one can only assume he was the reason there. You see him in the background there of that shot. Let's head back up here between John Guerra and Jordan West. John got real high there in the line to maybe try to put the squeeze on Jordan, so he'll make the move there. Woody Mahan has now been shuffled back to 3rd on the inside line there. I guess the 2 top line guys got a pretty good run going between the 22 and the 1 of Bedrosian and Paxton, just slid back down. Probably the best move for the time being, as the inside line is always the safe line, but well, we don't see too wide a couple rows back until Jordan West there sitting on the outside of Keith Lee in the 61 car. Austin Knight has made up a couple of spots here on this current stint and is back up behind Keith Lee there. He is the 210 car. You see the red, white, and black entry there in the back of your screen with a pretty cool number font. But up top there, it's just Jordan West and Carl Dronka at this point. Dronka might even slot down, and if he does so, well, Jordan's chances of making a move are pretty much null and void. again, it's a lot of kind of politics in car here at these restrictor plate tracks. Is well, the advantage to the top line is sometimes it's kind of an untraditional line where if a couple of guys can get a good, bit of clean air. Oh, somebody's going to go around. That's John Guerra by Jordan West. Lee hits him. The two Dyblake Motorsports cars making huge contact. The 12 and the 11. Where's Michael Krobach? He's just going to check up and make the safe move and get by everything. Who else is dropping through the pack? Austin Knight has damage as well. He's flipped around. The 210 cars. Josh Gallagher comes into frame from there in the back, but Devin Crosby makes it through. Marshall Crocker makes it through. Keith Lee there, I think, took a little bit of damage, but he appears to be good enough to get back to pit road. So is technically Manuel Guerra, but look at the front of that 12 car. Massive crash, the third of our race, and in very early stages of tonight's festivities. I think that was lap 15 or 16. Like, wow, it's been a pretty chaotic start to tonight's race. Let's see what the beginning of that incident was. We are with the wrong guy. Josh Gallagher would have been a little bit too far back at the time to see it. So I think Jordan was involved. So that right before it was about to happen, you see there. But well, there is Mr. John Guerra. So we're coming through corner 1 here, I believe. Jordan's going to peek to the inside, make some room. Yeah, he was on the inside. He was legally there. I guess John just came down a little bit earlier than Jordan expected. But again, just a little moves like that when you're so close and the margins are so small at such high speeds that mistakes can happen. And I don't believe anybody will be out of this race yet, as everybody should have at least one quick repair left. But well, Josh is kind of the beneficiary of that. You see him on the outside, just diving straight by some guys. So honestly, I think Josh was involved in an incident with somebody else there that put him that far back. But sometimes that's just the best option is to wait and see what happens in front of you. Sorry, I should have gone back to that and seen what happened to Austin Knight, because he just got absolutely walloped there in that last incident. I'm not exactly sure how. It didn't look like the guys up front there came in front of the track and blocked anybody's progress. But well, we'll see what happened there to Austin. So you see the very damaged 210 car coming through corner 2. So there's Manuel. Oh, so I know Manuel got absolutely run over there by John Guerra when he made the contact there. So bounced off the top wall. Look at the contact between John and Manuel. Making it through clean here to this point. Not sure what happened after. Oh, wow. So that was an entirely different incident there between himself and I think it was Keith Lee. We're going to go back just a quick moment there and see what happened between the 61 and the 210. So he's going to dive below the line. Comes back up. Pretty safe at this point. Oh, he just gets a little bit squirrely and heads in front of the 61 there. Bounces around and yeah, massive damage. I would have thought, though, that based on how damaged Manuel's car was, you remember you saw it entirely without the front hood. We're just going to go back to the front and see where everybody is. But entirely missing the front hood, Manuel was able to get that car back to the pits. So I'm surprised that Austin wasn't able to do the same. But, well, you never know. I mean, every car is different here with the iRacing damage models. So you never know what kind of condition somebody's car is in. Marshall Crocker Sr. will win the race off pit road, back up to the 9th spot in the number 24 car. After that, Michael Krobach will head out of the pits in the 10th position. Not for his standards, by NASCAR standards, having a great race so far, but he's been caught in a lot of chaos thus far and has used another quick repair, so he should be back up to speed and will make his charge through the field once again, you'd expect, as he was doing at the beginning of that stint until that last incident. John Guerra will head out of the pits next in the 11th entry and will be in the 11th position when he exits. Then Josh Gallagher, I should say, and the number 6 car will end out in 12th. Manuel Guerra is still in the pits in 13th, and Austin Knight, for the time being, looks like he's either bailed out or he's run out of quick repairs. So it's a shame for making his debut tonight, Austin Knight, and he was really quick in our race yesterday it was USA International in the Skip Barber Series. So it's a shame that if he is indeed dropping out, that he won't be able to finish tonight's race. But we'll shout out to Austin. Absolutely, thank you for coming out tonight, even if this is the end of your race. We're going to take a very, very brief side-by-side before we go back to green for the third time tonight for round number 13 of the Karts Computers Racing Series second season at Daytona International Speedway.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
And welcome back to tonight's coverage of the second to final round of the Karts Computers Racing Series second season here at the Daytona International 250. Getting ready to go green this next time by. The lights on the pace car have turned off, so, well, yet another chapter in tonight's festivities. Andrew Bedrosian is sitting inside of the pace car currently, so if any of you guys ever wondered if the pace car in iRacing was textured on these broadcasts, well, it is not, so anybody can freely drive through the pace car as they please, so not sure what the benefit is there, but Andrew Bedrosian must be really roaring to go, is not even waiting for it to head back to pit road. Maybe he's trying to go for the ultimate jump here, but nope, just looks to be messing around there for the time being. So, well, very quickly before we go back to green is a bit of a late start to this current stint. Bedrosian, Mahan, Paxa, Felino, and West are your top 5, followed by Keith Lee, Devin Crosby, Carl Dronka, Marshall Crocker Sr., and Michael Krobach to end at your top 10. 11 drivers left on track. Manuel Guerra still in the pits. We are getting ready to go green for the 4th time in tonight's race after the 3rd caution. Green flag here at the Daytona International Speedway, beginning of lap 22. Andrew Bedrosian will lead the field to green, made up 8 spots since the start of tonight's festivities. Got a pretty good run by everybody. Nobody looks to be too significantly off the pace to start this stint. First thing that jumps to my notice at the start of this stint, look at the front of Jordan West's car. Amazed he's got that number 9 entry still running in tonight's race. He's way off the pace, so you got to think everybody's just going to drive around him. Devin's going to head to the inside. Michael's going to head to the inside. Getting absolutely trained there. I guess he's running out of quick repairs, but decided to stick with it for the rest of the race. Now Mahan is going to go up to the top side. Manuel Guerra is a lap car there on the inside. Hopefully he's going to move out of the way and let the lap cars by. Just barely does. That was a close one. So Woody is now going to be leading after the start of the very first lap. Made the pass on Andrew early, so the 27 car, the 22 car will be your top 2. Paxa and Felino once again up high. They've had a pretty good connection going these last couple of laps, but now Logan's going to head to the inside and kind of hang Felino out to dry. The guys after the top 4, starting with Carl Dronka there in the 100 car and Marshall Crocker in the 24 car. After that, they just kind of dropped back a little bit in terms of timing, so these top 4 just absolutely took off at the start of that green flag stint. Now Pax is going to get in behind the 27 of Mahan there, just trying to find a stable camera angle to use. But well, now you see Andrew Bedrosian up high all by his lonesome, but Rich Felino is a couple of car lengths back. Maybe he'll think about moving up there with him. Manuel Guerra still in the line there, despite being a lap car, so hopefully he lets Rich Felino get by on the inside, the outside, I should say, as he is fighting for playoff spots. Look at Andrew Bedrosian now going to turn Logan Pax, a huge move. I am not sure what just happened there. Pax is going to slide huge damage off the inside wall. Look at the rear wing. I believe we're going to go to caution momentarily. No caution on that incident. Wow. Okay, we're going to have to go to replay on that, but how was that not deemed a caution? First of all, I want to see what exactly went down there. So Logan with Andrew swerving all around behind him. I think Andrew just turned him. I genuinely don't know what we just watched. We're going to go back a couple of seconds, see if we can see it, but so swerving all over the place is Andrew Bedrosian coming off. You see how close he gets to the rear bumper. Yeah, just kind of hooks him. Wow. Well, we're back live here for the rest of tonight's broadcast, but again, amazed that wasn't a caution. Now, Logan might even go lap down, just did. So Logan Paxa in his fight for a championship, he just never seems to have the luck, and lucky dogs are on, so he would be able to get that lap back in just a moment if he uses his quick repair, but wow, just you can never seem to find the luck, and man, Andrew and him just don't seem to be meshing well in our series at all. This is the 2nd time in 2 races they've gotten together, and well, we can dive into that a little bit later. For the time being, the pack behind the top 4 at the start of that stint have all caught up, maybe as a result of Logan falling out of line there and kind of messing up the draft rhythm they had going. But Manuel Guerra is now sitting there in the top of that 2nd row, and I know he's still a lap car, but he's kind of a great chess piece there for the 100 of Carl Dronka to use up top, as he's just riding in his slipstream, trying to use him to make up some track space. And Marshall Crocker Sr. has gotten all the way up to the 5th spot, maybe trying to draft with Rich Felino, seeing if he can go up to the front with him. But 27, 22, then the 4, then the 100 car, then the 24 Marshall Crocker Sr. are your top 5. Krobach has moved up, I think, 6 spots in this current stint there, all the way up to the 6th spot there for the number 3 car. We'll have to go through after that. I am using the same television graphics you guys are to see where cars are. Rich still sitting behind Andrew Bedrosian. Now we're going to go 3 wide. Dronka is going to try to go up top on Manuel Guerra, maybe thinks better of it. Now Marshall Crocker Sr. is going to jump to the inside. Might move up to the 4th spot. Side by side with Dronka as we come through corner 4. back up to the start-finish line. Now the 24 is going to head to the inside of the 12. Marshall's going to clear him cleanly, but he's got to get in the draft there on Rich Foligno if he wants to make up room to that front pack. So the 24 now up to 4th, but still with Manuel Guerra on his outside. He's going to slot in front of him. Now Dronka's going to head to the inside, try to fall in behind the 24. Thought they might think about a 3 wide there, but Manuel's fallen back a little bit in the 12 car. So now the top 5 are all in the inside line there. Then Michael Krobach, Devin Crosby, Josh Gallagher, and John Garrow will round out the drivers sitting here on the lead lap. Keith Lee is now 1 lap back. Manuel Guerra is 2 laps back. Logan Pax, I'm not sure if he's rejoined the track yet. He has, and him and Jordan West appear to be drafting buddies. So, well, this race is not over for neither the 9 or the number 1 car. If they're able to team up and maybe make up some room on track together, as well would be advisable at this point, because, well, in lap 28, there's still plenty of race to go, and, well, one or 2 laps down doesn't mean you are by any means out of this race. Let's just hope that those 2 guys don't get together once again, as, well, that would probably put them completely out. But yeah, so Austin Knight will officially bow out of this race by the looks of it. But back up to the front, the 27 and the 22 still working in there on that drafting tandem. An interesting combination for sure, because, well, Woody didn't start off this season in the Karts and Computers Racing Series. This is only his 3rd race, and Andrew didn't start the season as a Lad Puddle Motorsports driver either. So they might be both. They may both be Lad Puddle Motorsports teammates at this point, and they're actually Lad Puddle R&D teammates. So Lad Puddle R&D has the top 2 spots in tonight's race, and as a team that is fighting for the team championship, even though it was mostly Andrew Bedrosian most of the year. Well, this is exactly the result they want to see right now. And then Lad Puddle Motorsports blue driver Rich Foligno in the 3rd spot to round out the top 3. So really the biggest outlier here in the top 4 is Mr. Marshall Crocker Sr. there driving in the 24 car. He's making up ground to Rich Foligno, and he's having a great race so far. I know as it pertains to Cup Series tracks, he's not the biggest Cup Series guy, at least not in terms of what he normally runs on iRacing. But, well, he's got the pace tonight to maybe make up some more positions. And, well, it's I'd be interested to see how he does tonight, especially if we're able to go on a pretty good green flag stint. Maybe he can make up the room he needs to that top 3 there of the 27, 22, and the 4 or the 4 car there. So, well, he's sitting there on the Jeff Gordon entry up front, but, well, now Michael Krobach will move up to the 5th spot. Devin Crosby moves up to 6th. Carl Dronk is going backwards a little bit in the field. Not sure if he just got shuffled out or what was the case there. And then behind him, John Guerra running at that front pack there in the number 11 car. So everybody's starting to spread out throughout the field, but for the time being, we really are just waiting for a move to be made here by I guess either the 22 or the 4 car here at Daytona. Both are within reach of that 1st spot. Well, really, there's never any point at which you can write anybody out of a pack as long as they are all together, because, well, if you get a couple of guys that can just magically agree to move up to the top line and make up some progress up there, I mean, with good teamwork, anything can happen at Daytona is what I'm trying to say. So, well, as you come through corners 3 and 4, everybody's still kind of slotted into the inside line there, but Michael Krobach is going to head up to the outside. Maybe he's got big plans with Devin Crosby right behind him. 2 guys very experienced in the Cup Series. They might have plans to try to get through the field a little bit, but Mahan and Bedrosian still keeping the front 2 locked down. They have been locked at the hip the entirety of the last 5 laps. Just not letting anybody behind make up enough room to catch up. And, well, for those of you that don't watch a lot of NASCAR Cup Series races and want to figure out what the idea behind restrictor plate racing is, well, as you come through the corners, any ground that is lost by somebody who's either running in dirty air or just doesn't have a partner with them or is running off the pace, well, you'd assume that either your driver ahead of you, if you're in a 2-man drafting tandem, if they slow down and lose some ground, well, you're right behind them to give them a bump draft down the straightaway. Or if they have a great corner and naturally make it through on one of the 2, well, I guess the 3 main straightaways, either up to the tri-oval, away from the tri-oval, or the backstretch, well, then you just get in their draft, you try to make up some room, and you give them a big push and help them out down the straightaway if you can make it to the end. So generally it's both a safety blanket, and if it's just a 2-car tandem running a little ways back from the rest of the pack, well, then it's the most ideal way to make up ground to people and maybe make some moves late in a race. So restrictor plate racing is a lot about politics and interesting dynamics, and it's really interesting to see who just naturally has the ability to run safe and to coordinate well with others. And for the time being, it looks like Michael Krobach is one of those guys. He's going to head all the way to the outside there on Marshall Crocker Sr. and will now drop back into the 4th spot. So big move there by Michael. So he'll head up to 4th now behind his Lad Puddle Motorsports blue teammate there in the number 4 of Rich Foligno. So LPM R&D top 2, and then it's an LPM blue 3 and 4. After that, Marshall Crocker Sr. is the first non-LPM driver to break it up. But then after that, we have the 5 of Devin Crosby. So immediately back to LPM. Then Josh Gallagher in the 6th car, also an LPM car. That kind of just shows you how many we have in our series. But John Guerra there in the 11 car, sitting back in a battle for 8th with Carl Dronka. Almost making contact there, but Carl's going to bounce off a little bit. They're still going 2 wide here, so Carl's got to run, but John's got a draft there on his teammate Manuel on the inside. So We'll see if that's what he needs to make the pass on Carl and move all the way up to the 8th spot, which would be moving up 4 spots since the beginning of the race. A very very efficient race, I should say, for John Guerra so far. But now Carl's going to drop to the inside, get in the draft in Manuel, and see if he can make some forward progress. Now Marshall Crocker Sr. is going to look to the inside, and Rich Foligno breaking up the LPM Blue tandem there, and now going to head to the inside all the way on Michael Krobach. If he gets a good draft in Pedrosian, he might move all the way up to 3rd here. Great progress for Marshall Crocker Sr., especially as a guy that isn't in part of a Ladapota Motorsports tandem there, but we'll see if maybe Manuel Guerra in the 12 will give him some help, as yet a fellow not LPM driver whatsoever. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8 all share an in-race group chat and coordinate together. So really, if I'm some of the more independent guys, whether it be a one-off driver or somebody like the 24 or the 12 or the 11, I'd be trying to work together and maybe make a push up past all these guys that no doubt have a team plan going, and just try to disrupt the system. Now Michael's going to drop to the inside with Crocker behind him, so Foligno is moving back. Now he's got Manuel Guerra to the inside of him, and Marshall's swerving all around, trying to keep his spot in line here up in the 4th spot. And well, now that's Carl Dronka in the 100 that's going to head down to the inside of Foligno. So Foligno is just heading backwards, and not only is he no longer in the draft in his team like Michael Krobach, but he might get shuffled out all the way to maybe the 9th spot, really, if he's able to, or if both John and the 2 LPM green cars are able to make it past. But, well, having 2 LPM green teammates right behind you is going to work out well enough because, well, again, though they might not be team standings teammates, they are still teammates at heart. So we'll see who exactly does decide to work together. The 12 and the 4 are going side by side up through, I believe that's corner 4. Almost making contact there. Now that's Keith Lee there in the 61 purple entry there up front. Let's see what he decides to do. But I think it would be kind of nice to have maybe a rear view there from Keith Lee's perspective, see what he sees coming up behind him. Going to be nice and sportsmanlike. Go to the top and let the guys let the guys behind him make up some room on the inside. Everybody's going to head by. We see the 24, the 12. Foligno still in the draft there on Guerra. Dronka now in the draft there on Foligno. A little bit of smoke, but it's always tough to tell if that's guys just getting their tires there below the yellow line, which does scuff them up a little bit and cause them to do that, or genuine incidents. And well, with the track map not being that easy to use in this current graphic style, it's never the easiest to put up, but we will if we need to do so. We're going to check back in just a moment on Logan Pax and Jordan West, see if they're making up any progress there lap down. But well, for the time being, we're not seeing any cautions, but late in the race, I would imagine we will probably see a couple. Speaking of which, almost immediately, Manuel Guerra is going to be sent around. No caution again. The cautions are being very conservative this race by the looks of it, and important to mention that not me calling them. It's just iRacing's automatic system here at the ovals, and Manuel looks to be back up to speed here, trying to get some footing under his tires. Speaking of that duo I was just mentioning a second ago, Logan Paxa being pushed by Jordan West. Well, I guess it was a tandem. Logan Paxa bouncing on the inside. Did he have to make a crazy maneuver to avoid, or did he genuinely hit Manuel Guerra? So it's Manuel with Jordan on the outside, coming up to Manuel Guerra in the 12 car. Manuel almost stopped. Yeah, huge contact with Logan again. That guy's luck just cannot catch a break. Are we under caution? We are not. So Logan, more damage there in the 1 car. You got to imagine. Yeah, he's all scuffed up. That white car shows off damage really well. But man, poor guy. He just cannot seem to get the conditions he needs to have good races here, especially at the ovals. And well, the guy hasn't done anything wrong. It's just that he always seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and again, not as a result of his own accord. So, now we're going to see Rich Foligno to the inside. Was that Carl Dronka heading off the track? Can't exactly tell who, but Foligno should be able to re-enter the track. Almost hits Keith Lee there on the outside. We'll go to another instant replay and see what happened to him. But I think he came side by side with Marshall Crocker Sr. Let's go to the chopper camera here. So the 4 car, huge run off corner 2 there on the 24. Going to head to the inside. He's got the line there, and I think just another miscommunication. 2 guys just not knowing where they were. Both are able to make it through. Rich is going to be shuffled back quite a ways and narrowly avoids Keith Lee. So good perceptiveness there from Rich to not wreck. But Rich is back on the track. Doesn't appear to have any major damage, so he is out of the draft. But if we do get another caution, then he should be right up back into that top groove, and that top line is where you want to be at this point, as no more lap cars there in the middle. This is all for position. Now we see the 24 with Josh Gallagher in the 6 car right up behind. Again, no movement from the top 3 drivers so far. It almost seems to be an agreed upon fact that those guys sit where they do, as to not create too much chaos between 3 identical team members. So Well, we see the 24 there up top, still in the draft in Michael Krobach, but for whatever reason, it just looks like even if he gets great slipstreams, the 24 car, Marshall Crocker Sr., just isn't able to make up enough ground that he makes significant things happen. So, well, if he's able to sit in Michael's groove for long enough, I'm sure he'll move up to that top 4 spot again. But Josh having a little bit of a spat there with Carl Dronka, but appears to make it out of that scot-free. Behind them, the 11 of John Garris sitting there on the inside with Josh Gallagher. Going to move up to the top, maybe try to make the move on Carl here in the number 11 car. Appears to be able to do so there, so he will pass for the 6th spot. Now, Devin Crosby is going to go under as well, underneath the 100 of Carl Dronka. So, Carl, for his first race here in our series, running a one-off. He's having a great day so far. I mean, he's still in that front groove, and only Keith Lee there is not for position. So, one very little maneuver could send the race into a point where, well, we'd be in a crash that could definitely benefit Carl. So, again, once you're in this top groove and you feel like you're able to move out of the way of incidents that happen in front of you, well, the race is kind of in your hands, whether you be in the top 3, top 5, whatever positions or not. Still just sitting there on the inside row. The only 2 guys there on the outside are Devin and Carl. 2 guys that I don't think have worked together so far this race. So interesting to see if maybe they team up and do decide to go to the top there and try to make something happen up top, or well, if it's only temporary and they move back down to the inside once there is not a car on their inside. But for the time being, Devin is maybe going to try to make the move on John Guerra with a mildly damaged car. Side by side there between the 5 and the 11. Will either guy find help from one of the 100 of the 61 behind him? Doesn't look like it for the time being, so John will keep that spot. He does have the advantage on Devin. Not only is he on the inside line, which is better through the corners, but he is in the draft there on Josh Gallagher up ahead. But well, Carl Dronka there on the outside, he's getting right up close to the back of Devin Crosby. Somebody has crashed on track. Do we have a caution? We don't appear to, but Jordan West has spun around somewhere on track. So I believe that is corner 2. Spinning around there, getting the wheels all run up. Is he stuck there on track? I think he's angled the car such that he's stuck there on the inside line in the yellow line. I don't know what's happening there for the 9 car of Jordan West, but he has just parked it there. I think he's stuck. If he's not, he's got to send that thing back to the pits momentarily, because the longer he sits there, the more worry he causes for the guys going by him. And the last thing I want to see is an incident as a result of somebody just sitting on track. So well, hopefully he is out of the way, and he does appear to be back to the pits by now. So unfortunate to see that he required a tow. I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning for that one would be, but does somebody have damage? Because a huge bit of smoke coming off the back of one of those cars through the corner, but does not appear to be the case. John Guerra is swerving around a ton there back in the 11 car. Not sure what's up for him. He just can't seem to get his bearings under him. Rich Foligno is headed back to the pits, getting some service there. So Michael lap down as the car's coming to corner 4. Going to take a quick repair this time. No, a bunch of the Lad Pedal guys are going to enter the pits. That's Woody Mahan there on the 27. Bedrosian's in, Krobach's in, Crosby's in. So the 4 LPM drivers all coming in there in the top 5. I'll decide this was the lap to do so. So Marshall Crocker Sr. will become your race leader for the time being. He's got Carl Dronka in the 100 car behind him. Josh Gallagher, the only LPM car in that front 8 to not go into the pits that last time by. So, well, Jeff Gordon, the identical Jeff Gordon entry of Marshall Crocker Sr. is now leading the pack. And, well, Jeff Gordon most certainly did this several times throughout his career at Daytona. I believe he's won the 500 twice. Of course, retired now. But after that, John Gary's going to move up to the top 3. Still in a battle with Josh Gallagher, who's kind of been in an interesting lane this entire time where he's not really on the outside, but he's just kind of in an awkward spot where it's not for a pass to be made, and now Josh is going to head into the pits, but hopefully he does so at an interval with the LPM guys that just pitted, because if he's not, he might hang himself out to dry and be stuck with a drafting buddy coming out of the pits, which in terms of track position is the absolute last thing you want. But, well, we'll see where the LPM guys come out of the pits, so Michael coming out in the 5th spot with Logan Paxa closing in behind him, way ahead of Andrew Bedrosian coming out of the pit cycle. So, well, if those guys are going to want to coordinate and become drafting buddies, they will need to do so in a very nuanced way, because they aren't exactly doing each other any favors by coming out where they did. Devin Crosby now back in the 7th spot, coming out of the pits for the 2nd time in tonight's race, with Woody Mahan, the former leader, dropping 3 spots in the pits. I'm not sure if he needed service or what, but well, he definitely lost some track position to the guys ahead of him. He'll have to make that back up, but seeing as I think he is in the draft on Rich Foligno, might not be as rough of an undertaking as it could be. Josh Gallagher still in the pits, so we'll see the lead pack head by him. Those are the leaders that just went by on the outside, so I think he's needing an extended pit stop for some purpose. Not exactly sure what that would be. Now Rich Foligno just kind of on his own on track, coming down the backstretch there. The leaders are closing in on him right now, so I think Rich is only a lap behind for the time being, but the longer this goes on, the more laps he might lose. So these are your top 3 right now, on track as they sit, and I think once they come out of the pits, I believe it's about a 42-second pit window here, so it'll be close. If these guys come out where they are and they have good pit stops and they take the minimum and take what they need, well, not only could they keep their track position, but well, if they're able to keep up this drafting pack they have going, those guys up front are all leaders. So if these guys are able to make the pass in the current formation in which they're running, if they get a couple of guys a lap down and then a caution comes out before they have to pit, well, they've just put a bunch of contenders for the lead a lap down, and LPM, I'm sure, will be scrambling to strategize after that. But again, that's all speculation, and right now, for the time being, doesn't appear to be any battles on track that could lead to a caution. Now the 24 and the 100 of Crocker Sr. and Dronka still teaming up together and don't look like they have any intention of getting in an aggressive battle here, at least not on lap 47. Still not even halfway through the race, so no reason to do anything too crazy right now. We'll see if they coordinate their pit stops and all come in together, so they have drafting buddies. By the looks of it, doesn't appear to be the case. Everybody's still in one continuous line there on the outside. Whoops, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. There we go, we got that fixed. So yeah, we continue to be on board here with these top 2. We'll see if the guys after that have grouped up together. They have. So the LPM 4 of Michael Krobach, Andrew Bedrosian, Devin Crosby, and Woody Mahan, as well as Rich Foligno up there a little ways earlier in the line. So the 5 drivers are all going to mix in a little bit there, see if they can coordinate a line up to the front of the field. And they've got Logan Paxa behind them, interestingly enough, in the number 1 car. Passes on track for him, I don't believe would gain him any positions. We'll have to see when we cycle through the positions up top as to where Logan is in line. But I don't believe these are for position besides all the LPM guys that pitted together, and presumably those guys won't pass each other if given the opportunity. Yeah, so Logan's 2 laps back. He's not even on the same lap as all those guys there. And even the LPM guys all teamed up there in the line are not a lap down currently. So once the top 3 there come into the pits, they should take over possession of the lead again. Josh Gallagher there in the 6th car, who did just pit a moment ago, has moved all the way back behind those guys. He's actually a lap down from everybody in that group. So I talked about it. It looked like he had a pretty long pretty long pit stop going there. And by the looks of it, I was right in that assessment, because now not only is he a lap down, but he's not exactly able to coordinate with the guys around him because they're not on the same lap as him, and hence it's made it a lot harder to try to work together. So, well, this is a very familiar sight. If you watched our first race of the season at Talladega to start off our year, important to mention, we are now halfway through the race here on lap 50. But the 3 and the 22, they were great teammates at the start of the year at Talladega, the first time that we had any inkling that Bedrosian might join the LPM affiliate, and of course he eventually did the race after. But for the time being, these guys are working together great. And then we see Devin Crosby and Rich Foligno a couple of car lengths back working together as well in the 4 and 5 car, I believe. And then somewhere in there is the 6 of Josh Gallagher. There you see him in the Mountain Dew entry, who kind of just sitting on his own in no man's land. Not only is he kind of not involved in a bump drafting tandem right now, but he's also not on the same lap as these guys around him. A couple car lengths back, Woody Mahan rounds off that line with Logan Paxton is outside. Still surprised by how much room on track Woody actually did lose. Gallagher and Foligno are fighting for position. Important note: the 6 and the 4 car, I should say, are on the same lap. So, very interesting group for sure. And though the way it looks, just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, this is not the lead pack here. That would be, I believe, still Marshall Crocker Sr., Carl Dronka, and John Guerra, all the independent drivers teaming up there up front. But for the time being, these guys are going to continue to work together. They've been able to make up some track position. I know with this graphic package here, it's a lot harder to focus on actual intervals to certain drivers, but I think they've lost about 2 or 3 seconds since the LPM guys all pitted behind them. So I guess the draft tandem is just working a little bit better for those long-time teammates than it is for these guys that have kind of teamed up together in I wouldn't say a ragtag group, but just a couple of guys that don't have an official reason to work together. But well, Carl and Marshall Crocker Sr. run in the same series on Thursdays, so there's the connection there. And well, John Guerra is just kind of a nice guy when it comes to drafting and teaming up with people, from what I've seen in both this race and Talladega, and he's a very sportsmanlike guy. So I'd say this is a very consistent, polite front 3, if anything, and hopefully that's enough that they can, if they get a couple more laps under their belts, they can coordinate and try to move up once they realize on the relative screens that they're losing time to the guys behind them. But interesting to see when these guys will come in, because I'm amazed that under fuel they've been able to stay out this long. I mean, all the way to lap 52. I believe we had our last caution on lap 24. So got about 28 laps on fuel, which is for Daytona is a ton. Think about 28 times 2.5 miles. That's easily into the kind of 50s range there in terms of mileage. So I'm trying to think of how many pit stops the Daytona 500 has on average, because that is of course a 500-mile race, and our race is of course half of that. So I'm trying to think what the pit stints would be based off that. But for the time being, it's kind of turned into what we expect from some of our Cup Series races earlier this season. Think back to Pocono or Michigan, where we didn't really have crazy racing to see. It was kind of just, well, when was the caution going to come out? And then they just never did. So, well, we'll see if that stretch of Cup Series races continues tonight. But well, I have the sneaking suspicion, as a guy that has for a long time called Cup Series races, I have the feeling that that's not how it's going to go tonight, or at least races at restricted plate tracks. And my own efforts here, whether it be here or Daytona or even Michigan, you just never, you never see races go this long without an incident of some sort. So I'm hearing in the background is, of course, my father and I live in the same household. I'm hearing that he's thinking of pitting this time by. So I believe him and possibly Carl will coordinate a pit stop here so that they can team up and give each other some drafting help. Going to head onto the apron very early as Marshall Crocker Sr., so Carl might be able to ride it out and head into the pits a little bit later. Let's see if Carl does indeed come into the pits this time, or if he's going to lead a lap. He's not, so John Guerra will lead the lap this time by. That is a bonus point for the 11 car of Mr. Guerra, so the only downside for that being that, well, now he's kind of all in his zone there until either he pits or, well, I would say the guys behind him catch up, but they are about 30 seconds back of the 11 of Guerra. So if I'm him, I would much sooner hope that it's the former. But the 11 car now all in his own, leading in tonight's race. We're going to go to the pit lane cam and watch the race off pit road. We're actually going to see in the background the rest of the lead pack here, that being the 3, the 22, the 5, the 27, and the 4. So there's the LPM group coming by. Carl's going to come out of the pits here. Marshall Crocker Sr. still getting his car serviced, now in the gears, and is going to head it out at a pit road back onto the track. So Carl is making his way back onto the track and on the escape road. And, well, again, John is going to stay out one more lap. So impressive how long he's been able to make it on fuel. Starting to weave. I'm really hoping he's not going to run himself out of fuel in an attempt to go as long as he can on this tank. Not sure when he last pitted. I might have to bring up that graphic in a minute, as I never traditionally bring up the fancy graphics for Cup Series races, as well. That's not how the real life broadcasts are presented, and hence it's not really how I do mine. But, well, effectively, once John comes into the pits, knowing it's about a 41-second pit cycle, then this would be your battle for the lead: the 3 and the 22 car, followed by Rich Foligno in the 4, then Devin Crosby in the 5, Woody Mahan in the 27, Josh Gallagher in the, I shouldn't say Josh Gallagher, as he has a lap down. Same with Rich Foligno, but Foligno is for the time being the lucky dog driver. I would be interested to see, because from a tactical perspective, if of course this is how they did it, and I'm not sure if they know this is the case, but, well, if they put Rich at the front of this line here, which I know he has experience in doing. Rich is a very good guy when it comes to coordinating with others in long groups here at restricted plate tracks. But if they did put him at the front of the line, that would give him his lap. He to be back on the lead lap, and then the lucky dog award would go to Josh Gallagher, a fellow team member also sitting in line with him. So if they were really going for the benefit of the team here, then Rich Foligno would be leading that line just in case of a caution, which, again, luckily we haven't had as of yet. Let me just check in here. Sorry, I've been delaying a little bit. I haven't noticed that he's here, but it does. Oh, sorry. I'm just going to very quickly take a brief break. Maybe we'll do you know how NASCAR does the crank it up. Well, maybe we'll do that for a couple laps here as I try to coordinate possibly having a co-commentator in the booth here with me, Mr. Max Preston. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Just trying to get everything coordinated there with Max Preston there, see if he's able to kind of co-commentate tonight's race. But important enough to note, John Guerra will now come into the pits there in the 11 car. He probably won't cycle out there on the lead lap, but, well, he'll head into the pits and get serviced here. Probably come back out in, I'd say maybe even as high as the 6th spot, depending on how quickly he came off the apron into the pits. But there you see the, well, not only is Jordan West going to come by him in the pits, but, well, the lead pack there, led by Michael Krobach, will head by. So Michael will retake the lead to the race, followed by Andrew Bedrosian, Devin Crosby, Woody Mahan, all in that same group. John's now getting back up to speed, so he will cycle out in 5th position, running at the top 5. Then Marshall Crocker Sr. in the 24 car, followed by Carl Dronka in the 100 car, rounding out the cars in the lead lap there. So 7 cars left on the lead lap in tonight's race. After that, we'll see who would be the lucky dog driver. I believe it is Rich Foligno in the number 4 entry there, sitting 3rd in line in that blue and white striped car. And then I think it's Logan Pax after that. So if that is the case, let me just check. I can't remember how many laps down Logan is. Again, I do much prefer these graphics in a traditional setting, but no, he is 2 laps down. So Marshall Crocker Sr., I believe, will move up to the 5th spot there in the 24 car. So John's pit service took long enough that he's able to make that spot back up. And, well, depending on where they cycle out, maybe they'll be able to team up a little bit and make up some room themselves. Marshall's sitting about maybe a full second ahead of John Guerra as they come across the tri-oval. So, well, if John's able to make up a little bit of time in the draft, then possibly he could catch up and, well, maybe push Marshall away from the guys behind him. As well, Michael is getting closer and closer there as he leads his LPM group charging through the track, trying to make up some room to the guys ahead and put however many guys down a lap as they possibly can. As is really the best strategy this late in the race, is to just be like, okay, well, let's assume there's a caution because it's, you know, Daytona. But if we assume that there is a caution, well, then you got to be as far up ahead as you can. But on top of that, on top of being on the lead lap, you got to put as many guys down a lap as you can to try to make the best race you possibly can for yourself. Andrew's going to come completely off the track down below the yellow line. Going to come back up, but these LPM guys are starting to get a little bit more jukin' and jivey. No, that's not a word, but you might know what I mean. I'm just trying to reference to the fact that you're not exactly running the cleanest line as they were before. I mean, the LPM guys have kind of been known in this series, at least when it comes to restrictor plates or any race in which you can work together, for being a pretty ship-shape unit, being pretty locked up when it comes to making mistakes. But, well, eventually, if this happens to be maybe the top 4, 5, or 6 guys late in the race, if we go completely cautionless, which again, as I just mentioned, it's Daytona, I would never assume that to be the case. But if we do indeed go cautionless and this becomes your top 6 for the win, guys are going to start making aggressive moves. And, well, not only in the case of fuel, where if you sit behind somebody too long, you get in dirty air and might burn your engine out. But on top of that, you know, some guys just say, okay, well, eventually I might want to take the lead laps award, like for having the most laps led. Or I might want to lead a lap myself. Like, eventually there are guys in this row of LPM guys that are going to have individual goals they want to achieve rather than just helping the team goal of keeping the top 6 the same. So, interesting to see once, you know, personal endeavors take over championship aspirations. And speaking of championship aspirations, I haven't even mentioned that really thus far. But, well, really, in all reality, the championship battle is really between 4 guys as of this point. And, well, those are the top 4 guys in this row as we speak. I mean, of course, Rich Foligno is a lap down, but he is one of the guys still in contention for the championship, provided he's able to make it out to enough races. But, oh, we have a caution somewhere on track. That'll have huge implications. Who is it that has gone around? Let me just check my race log here. I think it was Jordan West somewhere throughout the field, so he's already back to the pits. But where was Jordan on track at the time? I think he was just running by himself, so... surprised that he was in an incident, especially at a restrictor plate track. So him in the 9 car. He's running way off the pace. Oh, his engine just entirely blew. Coming into corner, I have no idea what to call that. Huh. Okay, I genuinely don't know what happened there, because it was very apparent that he was intentionally idling the engine in a low gear to try to burn it out. I don't know why exactly. Well, we're going to go to a caution in just a moment. We're going to go to commercial very briefly, and I will be back in just a second. Genuinely not sure what happened there, but, well, we'll go to a caution very briefly, and we'll be back in just a moment for the, I believe it would be the 5th restart of the 13th round of the Karts Computers Racing Series 2nd season here at Daytona International Speedway.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
I'm sorry about that. Got all my slides messed up there. Several pit stops going on here at the Daytona International Speedway. All the LPM drivers coming in, as well as the 24 car Marshall Crocker Sr. Fair enough. Might as well pit for fuel on a caution. Won't lose track position. And I think we're late enough through the race that, well, there's the genuine possibility that that'll be the last time these guys have to come into the pits. But important to note, John Guerra becomes your new race leader for the first time, I think. Well, the second time this race, but you don't see, not as a fault of his own, of course, but you don't see John leading restrictor plate races too often. It's mostly because, well, a lot of the LPM guys have kind of had a monopoly on this particular track type all season. Devin Crosby is going to move up a spot, so he will now be credited as being the race leader. The line of cars behind the pace car is kind of a mishmash of guys. Manuel Guerra is the first car behind it, who is 20 laps down, followed by Keith Lee, who I think is 5 or 6 laps down. So several positions all mixed in there, but hopefully they get everything figured out. But Devin Crosby will be your effective race leader after cautions once he comes back out of the... once the cars ahead either come out of line or come into the pits. Speaking of which, Rich Foligno will come into the pits this time, but, well, the 5 car will now lead the field. Did John Guerra come into the pits there that last time by? He must have, because he's still dropping back spots in line. Unless he was given a penalty for some purpose, in which case I guess that would make sense. But, yeah, genuinely not sure what's going on with him. But Marshall Crocker Sr., after coming into the pits, will now come back out in the 5th spot. So, not sure why Josh Gallagher... Oh, he was a lap down, I should say. And then Michael Krobach coming into the pits once again. Did he have a speeding penalty? No, you can't serve speeding penalties under yellow. I have no idea why he's coming back in, but, well, we can do a very brief through the field here just to show you where everybody is for possibly the final time. This could be the final restart. Are the lights in the pace car actually off? They are. So I assume that the guys ahead of Devin Crosby will be centered on the pace car this time in just a moment. Otherwise, lap cars will start the race behind the pace car, and that will cause all sorts of chaos. So let's just hope that that is not the case. Yeah, lights on the pace car are off, so we're going to go green this time by. Actually, a fairly quick caution there. We've had quite a number of them so far in this race. So, well, it's good to see, because the last thing we want is a race full of caution segments. And, well, more realistically, the problem is that I'm running out of talking points, and my voice is getting hoarse rather than the number of cautions. So I think that just showed that Manuel will get the wave around for the lucky dog. He will. So Manuel Guerra, Keith Lee, and somebody else will get sent around this time. So well, we head up to Devin Crosby. There we go. We'll shuffle in behind the pace car. Carl Dronka will get his lap back as well. I believe he is the lucky dog driver. But with that being said, the pace car will take the hard left on the pit road. We'll be ready to go green here for the 5th time in tonight's race on the 4th caution restart. Going to sit right here on the finish line as Devin Crosby gets ready to go for lap 67, 33 to go. And the 13th round of our season just went through a car. I think that was Woody Mahan. But, well, the championship implications I just talked about from Michael Krobach and Andrew Bedrosian leading. Now Devin Crosby leads tonight's race. Gets a pretty good jump, but Andrew's got a massive run there in the 22 car. Not sure if Devin has damage. No, his rear wing's all fixed. So, huge run there by Andrew. Not sure if he just timed it perfectly on the restart or what, but... Well, Andrew was just flying right up there on the back bumper of Devin Crosby. I know they might be 2 green cars, but they are on 2 separate teams. Lad Pedal R&D for Mr. Bedrosian and Lad Pedal Green for Devin Crosby. But they are Lad Pedal Motorsports teammates nonetheless. Same with Woody Mahan. It was Manuel Guerra, I think, was on the inside that we just flew by. But the 22 car of, yeah, that is Bedrosian. Was that Foligno in the background that just went around? I thought I saw in my peripheral something wonky going on there. I think he just got a little bit squirrely coming out of corner 4. Now he settles back in line behind Josh Gallagher and Michael Krobach, both of whom are now in the lead lap. So Josh got his lap back somewhere along the way. 4th and 5th position still belong to John Garrett and Marshall Crocker Sr. for the time being. So while that top 3 followed by Logan Paxton may be a pretty stable group, there's about a second back to John and a second back to Marshall. And then Marshall Crocker Sr. does have a pretty decent buffer to the 3 cars behind him. Not only are they teammates, but they've been really fast all race. So I'd imagine there's genuinely a possibility that those guys are quick enough in a line that they can make the time up almost immediately, which, well, it is a possibility because, I mean, we saw how quick they were on that last stint right before pit stops. And, well, I mean, if they're able to keep up that pace right now at the end of this stint, then, well, a 3 or 4 second gap isn't anything huge whatsoever. Woody Mahan still sitting there behind the 5 and the 22 car. Doesn't appear to be making any forward momentum right now, but Jean Guerra is very smartly trying to draft in behind Logan Paxton there. We might go to a onboard cockpit view, which we have done, I was going to say very few times. We actually haven't done one yet. So, well, we will head to a cockpit view here on John Guerra's number 11 car. You see there in front of him is Logan Paxton. Now you see the very complex setup these NASCAR guys have in front of them. This is what's on the screen of your favorite driver, and of course not the graphics, but honestly, like, not only the nighttime setting with the stadium lighting that can be kind of distracting at times, but we'll just look at how much these drivers have to comprehend. I know some of those numbers on the telemetry in front of them aren't super important. These guys are going to have to dodge by Manuel Guerra there in the inside in the 12 car, who dove up a little bit as they went by. John's going to tap the outside wall, so he gets it back up to speed. Doesn't appear to lose too much ground, but if he loses the draft, then, well, he's going to be even more at risk of being caught by the guys behind him. But we'll look at the telemetry on his dash. He's got the RPM, the lap time, which isn't too important. So none of the stuff on his dash there is really all too important to keep track of lap after lap, especially not in a restrictor plate race. But you got to think he's looking at his telemetry. He's got to keep track of the lighting. He's got to keep track of the cars in front of him, and Logan Paxton's car blends in deceptively quite a bit to the lighting around him because of how bright his car is and how bright the lights are. So, yeah, I can say from personal experience running these restrictor plate tracks, it's just a lot to process at once. And I know I talked about it a little bit earlier, but comparing it to a race like Laguna Seca there in the IndyCar series, where it's kind of just a time trial. You're almost running by yourself in practice because everybody seems to split up really early at the start of runs, and then by the end of them, well, you're nowhere near any other car. You're just running by yourself, and the only goal is to run as quick as you can. So restrictor plate races are a totally different beast from anything we run in this series. But now our top 5 have all settled into that inside groove. But Michael Krobach, as I just talked about a couple laps ago, he's going to make all of that ground up with his LPM teammates. And for the time being, he will. Now he's going to sit in behind Logan Paxton. But Marshall Crocker Sr. in the 24 car desperately holding on to 5th. Still in the slipstream there on the 11 of John Guerra. So if that connection's able to continue to work, he might be okay. But Crocker's going to slide up a little bit. Almost gets into Paxa, but they make it clean through the trioval. Now Krobach is going to slide in behind Marshall Crocker Sr. there on the inside. Will the 24 and the 3 car maybe work together to head up to the front? John is swerving all over the place up in 4th, losing a ton of ground as we come out of corner 2. Marshall tried to think about maybe heading up to the top side, getting a push from Michael, but doesn't appear to be so. So gonna head to a chopper view just to make sure we know where everybody is on the line. John is right up to the back bumper of Woody Mahan as we come into corner 3. The slipstream definitely working for him, but he's bouncing off that yellow line every time through the corners at this point. Not sure if his car is just loose or I don't know, maybe it's some strategy to get good slipstream timing. I'm not sure what the case is, but Paxton giving a big push there to Krobach on the outside. The two championship contenders working together, knowing that, I guess, fellow championship contender Andrew Bedrosian's up there a couple cars ahead. Look at the run the outside line is getting. Paxton's still pushing. Krobach's up to 3rd. He's ahead of Mahan by about a nose. So the tandem of the 5 and the 22 against the tandem of the 3 and the 1. The 27 and the 11 are kind of hung out to dry. Gallagher's going to go around the outside of Crocker Sr., so well, this is getting insane. The outside line still making moves. Krobach is now all the way to the outside of Devin Crosby. We're going to go 3 wide. Paxa to the outside. Gallagher thought about giving a push to Paxa, but I guess thought it would be against the... it just wouldn't be the best thing for Latapeta Motorsports as a team is pushing one of their rivals to the front, whether it be on the lead lap or not. But now I guess Josh is going to settle in behind Logan, but now going to settle back to the inside. So who is that 2-car tandem up front? I'm trying to tell. I think one of them is Carl Dronka, judging by the car color. But after that, it's just a giant slew of cars in one big, long, continuous line, most of whom are from the same team. But the one thing I think of watching this race is how eerily similar it is at this point to Talladega at the beginning of our season. And I know that all these guys share similar skill sets, so the fact that they're doing just as well here as they did then is probably par for the course. But you think back to the beginning of this year, it was a 120 lap race, like lap 96, I think it was. Devin Crosby was leading, just got turned by somebody, and it's disturbingly similar, especially if you're a Devin Crosby fan. And the last thing Devin wants to do is have the same thing happen as there, where he just kind of got involved in an incident late in the race. I think him and Logan Paxa got together. Trying to remember exactly what happened, but you got to wonder, is he going to be a little bit more conservative? He's let Andrew Bedrosian at the top side. Now he's got Woody Mahan behind him. They're going to go 3 wide there with Keith Lee on the outside. They all make it through pretty clean there. But now Andrew and Devin side by side. Will Michael give enough of a push to Andrew to put him by a longtime friend and teammate Devin Crosby? That's Carl Dronka up ahead. So I was right. One half of that drafting tandem, which I assume was Dronka and Lee. The top 4 all moving into like a checkerboard pattern here. Kind of staggered between them, but side by side, I can't even keep track of where guys are on track. Now Pax is going to move up to the top line, maybe give a shove to Krobach. Garrett's going to settle into the inside right behind Woody Mahan. Mahan's going to slide off the track totally by his own doing. He just kind of slid off there coming through the tri-oval. Recorrects and gets back on track, but he's going to lose a couple spots as a result. Takes all the momentum off. Now the 24 and the 27 might have to work together to get through the field. Keith Lee in the 61, who I haven't talked about much, but he is still sitting there, I think a couple laps down, but he's still in that top group, and anybody sitting in that top group there in the top maybe the top 6 or 7 spots is whether they're a lead car or not. They are important to the chess match that is going on right now up front. I think we're coming to 20 laps to go in just a moment, so not much of this race left to go, but these guys are fighting like there's only a couple left. I really wish Logan Paxa were on the lead lap, because he is running beautifully on that outside line, making it work with Carl Dronka, who I know he was losing a ton of time there, and he's a couple laps down, but he does have the pace there, as he showed in the beginning of the first stint, where he was keeping up with the lead pack, and I think he was running 3rd for a decent portion of the start of the race. So we know there's definite pace there for the 100 car, and now he's teaming up with Logan Paxa, seeing if he can get the current championship points leader to make up some progress. But this must be agonizing for Logan, as you can see the 3 and the 22 is 2 other main championship contenders, just a couple of spots in front, knowing that he's not even battling for position there, even if he could make it all the way up. As we come through corner 4 once again, it looks like the beginning or the end of a race, as all these guys are driving together, so many of whom are not on the lead lap. But quite the formation here for this late in a race. I don't think we've had first of all, I don't think we've had a restrictor plate race this good in the history of our series, but this has been a ton of fun. I also love the night setting, just kind of a nice addition. I know my favorite, I think, Daytona finishes of all time have come at night. So those were in real life. We'll see how good this finish can be on iRacing. But Marshall Crocker Sr. swerving a little ways back in the field. Woody Mahan is still losing spots. Crocker's going to head to the inside of Mahan. So Marshall Crocker Sr. having a great race for himself so far. He's going to move up to 6th. They're going to go 3 wide and behind. Mahan in between Lee and Dronka there for the 7th spot. But back up to the front of the field, Krobach is still leading, taking the lead from Crosby just a moment ago, and he has not looked back. You got to wonder, though. Again, I talked about it a moment ago, but as great as team commitments are and as important as they are at restrictor plate tracks, when does this personal endeavor take over and you just say, okay, well, I'm here for championship points. Teams championships are great, but I'm not even on the same team. So you got to wonder, what's the plan for these top 2 guys? And does Andrew have big plans going there in the 22 car? Looked to the inside very briefly, but would have had to go a little bit below the yellow line to make the pass, and that, of course, is not legal here at the restrictor plate tracks. A little ways back in the field is that Woody Mahan. Huge run there for the 27. He has not given up. He is still making up time there in that 27 car, which actually sounds notably different than the other cars in the line. When I do the rear chase camera, that's kind of interesting. But now Mahan's going to head to the outside, and Rich Foligno there, who, again, I don't believe is on the lead lap. Might be wrong. No, Rich is the first car a lap down, so not for position, but this is the 27 and the 11 going side by side. Mahan looking for the 4 spot. Gallagher and Foligno are going to go side by side. Paxa and Crocker are going to go side by side. All throughout the field, we have doubled up racing. And overall, this is, if I'm honest, again, I give a lot of credit to these guys for how clean they've stayed all race and all season. But yeah, I don't like the looks of this, especially not late in a race when everybody is finally going to start making aggressive moves for position. 20 laps to go. It'll be 19 here at the line. But, wow. I mean, this was middle of the race when it looked like we might just have a fuel mileage finish there to the end. where all the LPM guys were teaming up and had made up track position on the guys behind. I was worried we might just see a conventional race finish here towards the end, but no, we've got guys laps down mixed in. We've got Logan Paxa, championship contender, mixed in. Well, actually, let's check where he's sitting in the points. He's sitting 10th on track. Carl Dronka, I think, is too far ahead to... well, Carl is behind him on track, but he's an entire lap ahead in position-wise, so not going to be a good positions day for Logan Paxa. He's going to have like a supernatural Darlington if he wants a chance to win the championship here. But back to the front two. These are the important ones to watch. The 3 in the blue and the black, and the 22 in the green and the yellow. Those two sitting second, or sorry, I should say third and second in the championship points respectively. Well, they've got a ton to fight for tonight, and as we go into Darlington, a track that I know Michael specifically picked out for tire wear, which is kind of his ball game specifically. Woody Mahan, important to mention, has made the move on Crosby thanks to, I think, Josh Gallagher giving him a push. Bedrosian drops below the line, but Mahan's all the way up to the outside of Crosby, looking to make a pass for the third spot. Coming into turn 3 once again, still keeping it clean. Props to everybody here. Bedrosian's going to head up to the top line. Crosby's going to settle in behind Krobach. Now Bedrosian's going to go all the way around. Huge run by Bedrosian. Same with Mahan. Bedrosian to the lead this time. Makes the pass, and Krobach all the way around the outside in the backstretch. But look at the run Mahan got. Side by side with Krobach. This thing is not over for the 27 black, red, and yellow car. Really, anybody could win this race at this point. And looking back a little bit in the ways through the field, look at John Guerra there in the 11. Devin Crosby's going to dive off the track, makes it back on, but thought he was going to go side by side there with Guerra. Guess it didn't come through. 3 wide. Bedrosian's in the middle, and now he's going to slide up in front of Mahan. Almost takes Mahan out. Mahan desperately had to avoid that one, but Krobach is now all in his lonesome on the inside of the line. All of the LPM guys working up to the top. Now Pax is going to drop to the inside. Interesting move here for Logan Paxa. You got to wonder here, if you're a Logan Paxa fan, okay, what are his priorities when it comes to the championship? Because if he helps Krobach make it by Bedrosian, well, that would seem to suggest that he assumes Bedrosian will be more of a threat for the final race at Darlington. But if he does the flip side and helps Bedrosian to the win, well, then that helps his championship out in a different way if he thinks Krobach could win it. Or if he gets Mahan or like John Guerra to the win, or Devin Crosby. Like, even though he's not fighting for the win here, there's still potential for him to make a championship move. Big crash in behind. Rich Foligno and John Guerra. That'll bring up the caution in just a moment if I had to guess. Foligno, huge crash, and already somewhat difficult day gets even worse for Foligno there. So Foligno getting together. Was John Guerra involved? He was. So Guerra's off the pace. We stay green, no cautions, miraculously. Amazed as to how that happened. But Marshall Crocker Sr. was also involved in that one as well. The 24 car got caught in that incident, and still somehow no caution. Trying to keep that thing, get it back up to speed, but he does so momentarily, but I think he's got steering damage. Still no caution as of yet. Amazed that they've taken this long to call one. If I were calling him manual, I definitely would have by now. But throughout the chaos, Woody Mahan has come up to the lead. Where did Josh Gallagher come from? Now he's on the inside in row 2. If he gives a big enough push to Woody Mahan, he might be able to take the second position entirely on his own. And you see the plane flying in there in the background. Kind of a weird detail from an aesthetic perspective. Was that Marshall Crocker Sr. that just dove off to the inside? I think it was. You can see the huge damage on his car, just trying to get it back up to speed. And, well, if he can avoid a tow, that's probably for the best, as he would not only get a spot on John Guerra, who did have to tow back to the pits, but if we see a crazy incident up front for the lead, then that may be even more spots for Crocker. But, well, congrats to the LPM guys. They're now at the top 5 spots. And then John Guerra in 6th, who comes out of the pits now after, I think, a tow, but might have made it there on his own accord, which props to him if he did. But now we head back up to the battle for the lead. We can focus solely on the top 5 guys. So the 27, 22, 6, 3, and 5 all battling for the lead. 14 laps to go. John coming back off the apron there. Should go a lap down, and I believe he will. But now it's all up to the top 5 guys. Let's see who is going to make the big move first. And, well, we saw Andrew Bedrosian make a massive one a couple laps back, flying to the outside of Michael Krobach coming down the backstretch. But Woody Mahan just seems to make his moves as a result of other guys around him getting in little incidents of their own. So, well, Woody stayed pretty safe so far, but how aggressive will he get defensively in order to keep that spot? Andrew, I know, is a very aggressive guy here at these restrictor plate tracks. You got to think he'll try something pretty insane if he's able. But Josh Gallagher, again, has just quietly sat there in the second place for quite a while. Almost makes contact with the 22, but still sitting in there behind Mahan on the inside line. He's not really giving him bump traps either. They appear to have kind of a symbiotic relationship, but aren't exactly working together. So Bedrosian and Krobach. Big push by Krobach. He saw Bedrosian almost lost the back end there as a result of just how hard he was pushed. Can Bedrosian go all the way around the outside here in the 22 car? The 22 and the 27 right up side by side. Almost made contact, but I think they avoided it. Josh Gallagher is going to pop in and out of frame very quickly. I think he's had internet troubles in the past, so he's back there in the 6 car. But you got to think that'll make it tough on both the 3 and the 5 driving right around him as to not hit a car that you can't always see. But 12 laps to go here left in tonight's race. Only, well, about 8.5. Whoa, huge crash here. The 22, 27, 6, and 5 all getting together. They don't actually take damage, so... Well, what in the world just happened there? No caution once again. They all get through clean, and they're all still up to speed, but Mahan is off the track entirely. Gets back on, but now Michael Krobach is just... He's solo with Logan Paxa in front. Absolutely nobody around him, so we went from 5 guys battling for the lead to... Well, depending on how quickly guys can get back up to speed, possibly none. So Gallagher's back up to speed. Huge damage to his front end. Crosby, just the same, has a little bit of aesthetic damage to the front of his car. Mahan doesn't appear to have any, but he dove off the track just a moment ago to avoid. Finally, Karl Dronka, who is he? I don't believe he's on the lead lap, but he's only a lap down, so with guys coming into the pits, genuine possibility he'd be able to gain another position there. Michael is going to continue to lead with Logan Paxa up front. Let's head back to that incident just a moment ago and see what happened, because, well, I was just talking about something else, but what exactly went down there? So there's the 27 with the 6 on the inside. Woody's going to head to the inside. That was Andrew getting a little bit squirrely, trying to block down the low side. Andrew just entirely lost control of the car, headed into Woody Mahan. Somehow didn't take damage from that incident. Looked like he made huge contact with Woody, but well, you see Woody diving off to the inside there. That's not a great camera angle. So Woody re-entered the track, but let's one more time before we head back up to the front to see if Michael is pulling away from the guys behind. But one more time here through corner 1. So Bedrosian goes to block to the low side with a huge run from Mahan thanks to Gallagher. Goes down to block, makes contact with him when he gets loose. Gallagher somehow phases through 2 cars, so hence why he takes such large damage to the front end of that car. Same with Devin Crosby taking a little bit of damage. Devin came in to repair it, I think, the exact same lap, but just a very weird incident. Bedrosian stayed up to speed there after he did go around. Not sure how far back he is from Michael Krobach. You guys can see because you have the broadcast graphic there, but unfortunately I do not have that privilege here. There it is. So about 3 seconds back. So, well, not only is he quite a ways behind the 2 championship contenders up in front of him, but well, he's not. He doesn't even have a significant drafting partner ahead of him. Like, let's look back. I think Karl Dronka is sitting in front of him in line, but even he, I think, is a little bit too far ahead to help out there. The number 22 car of Andrew Bedrosian. So 9 laps to go, less than 10 to go. No significant battle for the lead here as Josh Gallagher and I believe, who was that behind him? Devin Crosby will re-enter the track. So the top 5 now being Krobach, Bedrosian, Mahan, Dronka, and Gallagher all for the top 5. Dronka with a great finish tonight if he's able to keep it going and finish in 4th. 100 car there will head around, and he's still a lap down, so currently only 3 drivers left in the lead lap, but they're all within 10 seconds of each other. So again, Krobach and Paxa have kept it pretty clean so far, and I mean, Paxa knows this isn't for position, but I mean, you got to think they'll try to keep it pretty clean. Paxa isn't the kind of guy that would intentionally spin a championship rival just for the sake of points, but Paxa, who I believe will finish 9th or 10th in tonight's race, depending on where the drivers around him finish. Crocker Sr. is still in the pits as of right now, so I think Paxa will make the move on him and move up to 8th. So the more spots he gains, the more championship points that he makes back up to Michael. But Karl Dronka actually won't be counted in the championship points, important to note. He's just running a one-off, so he'll be counted in the record books if he's able to win the race, but he will not be counted for points purposes in tonight's championship points. So Logan Paxa effectively sits 7th, which from a points perspective is still pretty far back, especially if Michael's able to win the race. And I'm not sure how many championship bonus points those 2 guys would have for leading the most laps, fastest lap, etc. I know the pole bonus would have gone to Woody Mahan, who is not in the championship fight. So, well, we just kind of continue here. 7 laps to go. Again, you can never count anybody out here in the Karts Computers Racing Series, especially not at a restrictor plate track. But provided Michael doesn't see a caution, this thing is all but over for him. Keith Lee looks like he's gone around somewhere on track, or at least it's showing up in my telemetry. But it would appear that he has already come off the track with a tow, so can't head to him. But we're going to come across for 6 to go this time by as we come into corner 4. Going to go to a little bit of a different camera angle just because, well, now that the finish kind of a foregone conclusion. I can get to some fancy camera angles to end this thing off. Bedrosian and Gallagher are still fighting for position. I shouldn't discount that battle a little ways back. I should say Gallagher is a lap down, so even that is not a battle for position. So really right now the question is, can Krobach and Paxa keep it clean long enough to give Krobach his 6th win of the season? 6th win? We're 13 races in. I think so. Yeah, he's got 6, Logan's got 6, and Andrew would have 1. So, well, I mean, Michael has just had an absolutely dominant season from a championship perspective heading into Darlington. Not only would he take over the championship lead with a win in tonight's race, or he'd be very close with Andrew, but, well, those are the two biggest oval contenders heading into a race where it's all about tire management, a skill that they've both shown they're very apt at throughout the season. So, well, really, the championship is entirely in their hands, provided they're able to keep it clean at Darlington. And Logan Pax is going to have a huge endeavor ahead of him. I mean, think about 8th place points. He'll probably lose about 15 to Michael. Probably going to drop back about 10 points to the guys ahead of him heading into Darlington. So Logan's got a huge race ahead of him. And really the last thing that Michael wants to see is either a caution or to be spun by Logan Pax. But again, they're teaming up well. Don't seem to be having any issues here. So, and again, as I mentioned just a second ago, Logan isn't the kind of guy that would intentionally take somebody out for position, or especially not for a championship. So, well, we're going to come to 4 to go this time by here at Daytona International Speedway. Again, I really do wish that we could have finished this thing off under normal circumstances, and unfortunately that incident just a moment ago and didn't even inspire a caution, just since it was kind of that weird gray area where it wasn't a huge crash that sent everybody out of the race, but by the same token, it wasn't just a little incident that kept everybody kind of bunched up together. So, well, if you ever wanted proof of just how much the draft matters, I mean, Michael Krobach's got a drafting buddy up there in front with Logan Paxa, but Woody Mahan, who does not in the 27 car, is now dropped back about 23 seconds to Michael in the lead, and he was only 10 back about 4 laps ago. So here at Daytona, it is all about the straight line speed, and the best way to do that is to get in a draft with somebody else. So going to come around corner 4 for, well, the 4th to last time here. Andrew Bedrosian's still a little ways back with Josh Gallagher, and I believe Carl Dronka, who's I know he's running in his first race in our series. There's Woody Mahan there. Sorry, wrong guy. But Carl, for a first race in our series out of 14 guys in his debut, man, 5th is a very good position. And unfortunately, since the series is very close to coming to an end, important to mention, 3 laps to go. But seeing as the series is coming to an end after next Friday, at least in its current iteration, well, it's a shame because Carl, I know I run with him on Thursdays in my Skip Barber series, but it is a shame that we won't be able to have him any longer in our series unless he wants to come back next week for Darlington. The offer will be extended to any of those who would like to come back out next week, or at least from the perspective of the guys that joined tonight or anybody else that wants to. Again, I know that probably no iRacing drivers watching on the stream tonight, but if you're able to, I mean, you can always message me on Facebook at Marshall Crocker Sr. and Facebook Messenger if you'd like to come join the series, or sorry, Marshall Crocker Jr. I should say, if you'd like to come join the series. We'd always be happy to have more guys, but you'd kind of be just running a one-off at this point. There's only one more race to go in our series. But speaking of very low numbers to go, 2 laps to go here from Michael Krobach, coming through corner number 2. But a lap and a half to go. He's got Logan Paxa behind him. Looks like he's, at this point, he's going to cruise to his 2nd restrictor plate race of the win of the season. I think it'd be his 4th NASCAR Cup Series race, the only exception being the one that was won by Andrew Bedrosian. That's right, we've only had 4, so he's won 3. Bedrosian was the winner in the other one, actually the most recent Cup Series race, I should mention. So, well, Andrew kind of took the title in that last one. We're going to go 1 to go here for Michael Krobach, still being pushed by Logan Paxa. Andrew is nowhere to be seen, about 5 seconds back. So, well, Michael has got this thing all but sealed up. Is Logan just going to kind of sit back and let Michael take it? I assume so. Again, it's not even really battles throughout the field, unfortunately. So we're just going to head to the finish. Carl Dronka has moved up to the 4th spot at some point. He is technically in a battle with Josh Gallagher, but, well, important to mention that, Dronka isn't going to take points in tonight's race, so even if Gallagher were to be beaten by him, it won't really matter for points championship perspective. Side by side with Mr. Bedrosian is Carl Dronka, but again, not for points. So coming out of turn 2 for the final time is Mr. Michael Krobach. Pax is going to head to the outside. Sorry, we're coming up to the tri-oval. A checkered flag. Michael Krobach, kind of lost my bearings there. Michael Krobach wins for the 5th time this season at an oval. 4th time this season at an oval, 6th overall. An incredible season for Michael Krobach, and well, he knew coming into the doubleheader at the ovals that this was going to be where he succeeded, especially in the playoff calendar. And well, he needed to make up points tonight for the first time all season. He was all the way back in third in the team standings, or the championship standings, I should say, and he did what he needed to do. Congrats to Michael Krobach picking up his 6th win of the season, 4th at an oval, all of which were NASCAR ovals. But rounding out the top 3, Mr. Woody Mahan for the 3rd time gets his, for the 3rd time this season in his 3rd race, gets yet another podium. Of course, if you discount the All-Star race where he also almost finished 2nd. But yet another successful performance for Woody Mahan. Yet another one of those guys where, well, if our season was able to go a little bit longer, I would be really excited to see what he could do in the final couple of races. But, well, the 3 and the 22, maybe they got something prepared for the finale here. Really upset that I missed out on understanding it was the last lap there. Kind of got confused as to where we were on track. Logan Pax is doing donuts, which, I mean, he had a good race. Unfortunately, going to lose a couple spots in the championship standings, get another spot somewhere along the way. I guess he got John Guerra there for 7th. So actually, that's effectively 6th without Carl. So not a bad day for Logan Pax points-wise overall, but well, definitely from a points perspective, the 2 guys that benefited the most from today's festivities were the 3 and the 22 here. You see running side by side in the backstretch. So, well, congrats to Michael Krobach. I won't give anything away, but I'm sure there's a special shout out he's going to have to give in his interview. But yeah, I know with certain stuff that's happened in Michael's life this week, it's probably going to mean a lot to him to get this win tonight, especially coming back to a NASCAR oval where he was beaten the last time. I mean, Andrew kind of took the crown from him there at Pocono, but well, we came back and Michael does what he's known for. And yeah, I was amazed tonight. I thought for anything I could have bet anything that tonight we'd see a close finish there to the line, but really that incident between the LPM guys just kind of shook everything up. Made this thing a lot easier for Krobach to come away with. He's going to do some donuts there in the famed infield there at Daytona in the grassy logo section there on the tri-oval. So congrats to Michael. He'll get to do his victory donuts, and we'll talk to him in the broadcast booth momentarily. We were supposed to do an in-car interview with him throughout the broadcast, but didn't get the chance to. Logan Paxa and Andrew Bedrosian they're doing something up there on the tri-oval. Logan continues to do donuts. I guess the championship top 3, it is only fitting that these guys would be doing donuts. So, well, I guess if you allow 2, you might as well allow all 3. Andrew, huge damage to the front nose of that car. Not sure if he accrued that after the race or what, but well, I was going to say he might take safety rating for that, and there is, of course, a bonus for not having any incident points, but I have the feeling that he had probably taken an incident point before that some point throughout the race. I'd be amazed if anybody in tonight's race went entirely incident-free. Michael's going to do some burnouts there right on the banking. Impressive stuff there, but iRacing smoke physics, I got to say, if there's anything I would change on the iRacing side, probably make your smoke a little cooler, but that's a bit of a nitpick. There's Logan Paxa going to drive right up behind him there. Logan might also decide to do donuts, but, well, he's you can see him there in the background there at the start-finish line. He is also going for some donuts there, so, well, he is, guess he's not done with his festivities for tonight. So is Andrew, so not sure what is happening there, but we have bigger things to focus on. We're just going to focus elsewhere. There we go. So, well, we will pull up your final race results for tonight's race. I am just going to take a quick second. I have been dying of thirst for the last about a half an hour. So there you go. There are your final results for tonight's race. Just got to scooch my graphics down a little bit. And there are your final results for tonight's race. We will go through them in just a moment. And that is much better. My throat was starting to die there a little bit in the last couple minutes. So this race probably couldn't have ended any better. So, or it couldn't have ended at a better time. You know what I mean? That being said, let's head through your final race results for tonight's race at Daytona International Speedway, the second to final race of our season, and getting the win in a very key race, the second to final of our season with one more to go, a race that he chose in the All-Star race, meaning that he no doubt has plenty of confidence there as we head off to Darlington next week. But Michael Krobach there in the 3 car will take home his 6th win of the season, 4th at an oval here at Daytona International Speedway. And I mean, he won the first restricted plate race of our season by just a very small margin. And he was a couple of laps away from having a very similar finish. And who knows if that crash hadn't happened, who would have come away with the win here. But, well, Michael just narrowly beats Andrew Bedrosian by about 5.5 seconds, which at any other track probably isn't a significant margin. But, well, at a restrictor plate, 5.5 seconds is kind of an eternity. So that kind of shows you just how chaotic the final couple laps of our race were. But Well, Andrew Bedrosian and Michael Krobach, they were the second and third place drivers, not in that order, heading into tonight's race. So these points will have a huge effect, especially with Logan Pax, a championship leader, coming into tonight, finishing in 7th, but we'll go over that in just a moment. After that, Woody Mahan in the third spot in the 27 car picks up his third podium of the season. Looking forward to talking to him in the broadcast booth if we're able to. But after that, Carl Dronka making a one-off appearance tonight in the 100 car. Again, thank you for coming out, Carl. It was a pleasure to have you, and finishes in the 4th spot. So with all the late race chaos there, I know he dropped down a couple laps earlier, I think middle of the race somewhere, but well, he made that time back up under green, and props for him for doing so, coming away with 4th place points. But of course, his points, as well as Keith Lee's and Austin Knight's, they won't count in the championship standings. So anybody below them, you can just move them up one spot in the championship, and they will gain positions as such. After that, Josh Gallagher rounding at the top 5. I know he doesn't make it to a ton of races, unfortunately, just because I think he's busy with work and has a lot of real life commitments. But it's a pleasure to have him out tonight, and he was running really quick there. Coming into the final couple of laps, I thought, I was talking about, he was very deceptively close to some of the front pack guys, and he was in a drafting push there with Michael Krobach there at the very end. So had things shaken out a little bit differently, he might be getting his second win of the series, and we'd be talking to him in the interviews. But well, unfortunately, not his chance tonight. But I mean, hey, he'll still get valuable points, and LPM Green coming away with the 5th and 6th spots. So from a team's championship perspective, that'll play into their hands pretty nicely. Speaking of LPM Green, Devin Crosby finishes in the 6th spot tonight, also a lap down. I think it was just a couple seconds back of Josh as well. So again, the guys in the lap down, if we had gotten another caution, this could have absolutely been thrown into chaos, and Logan might have been able to make it all the way up to 5th. But unfortunately, the way it shook out, that was not to be. And speaking of Logan, finishes in the 7th spot tonight. And really that incident earlier there where he was spun by Andrew Bedrosian early, he did his best. He got in a bit of a drafting tandem there with Jordan West at the beginning of the race. That seemed to work pretty well. But unfortunately, once we went to the caution, he stayed a lap down. And after that, it was just too hard to make up the track position. So he did his very best. It was just not, unfortunately, his luck tonight. But he'll come away with 6th place points, which should be close enough to keep him in the hunt there for the title heading into Darlington. So we should have a 3-horse race, and I can't wait to see how that goes. And you got to think this is going to light a fire under the defending champion. He drives the number 1 car for a reason, and I'd imagine even if it's not his bread and butter coming into Darlington next week, he's still going to do whatever he can to show that, well, he has the potential to do great things and win his 2nd straight and 2nd overall title in our series, provided that the Karts Computer Series name comes to an end after this year. But coming to the 8th position, John Guerra there in the Double Motorsports entry, driving up for most of the race. Remember, he led a couple laps, so he'll get the bonus point for that, but had a pretty successful finish overall. And unfortunately, I forget why he dropped back a couple laps, but I think he had either a pit penalty or he just came in for a very long service towards the end of the race. Whatever it may be, John Guerra will finish in the 8th spot. Marshall Crocker Sr., who was running up in that front pack for quite a majority of the race, just kind of got an unlucky part in that incident with all the LPM guys, and just mysteriously didn't get a caution there at the end of the race. The iRacing auto cautions being very strict and very bizarre in tonight's festivities. So he'll finish in 9th as a result of that. I think he was on pace for a great race, so it's a shame to see that all play out the way it did. Speaking of which, Rich Foligno, who I think just the same way, just kind of got caught out without a caution flag and went 17 laps down, which for how quick he was running at the beginning of tonight's race and how quick he was at Talladega earlier in the season, got to think there was the potential for a better finish from him, and it's unfortunate to see that the luck just didn't go his way tonight, as it didn't for quite a number of drivers. But rounding out the field, Keith Lee making his one-off entry in tonight's race in the 61 car. Thank you, Keith, for coming out as well. Looked pretty quick there at the beginning, but unfortunately, just incidents put him too many laps down to make up. But he was being sportsmanlike and good at letting guys by while he was still out, so it was a pleasure to have him. Jordan West there in the 12th spot, finishing 56 laps down. Manuel Guerra there in the 12th car for Diabolique Motorsports, finishing in the 13th spot. And Austin Knight will round out tonight's pack, 83 laps down, as he headed out early as a result of, I think, 2 crashes that used up both of his quick repairs. He just had a very unfortunate and unlucky first couple laps there. I think our very first 3 cautions that went back to back to back. I think he was involved in all 3 of them. So unfortunate luck for Mr. Austin Knight, who is one of the more... I think he's one of the nicer guys in my Thursday series, and he's certainly a bold personality, so I really wish we would have had the honor of interviewing him, but, well, you never know. Maybe in a future endeavor, maybe something more Skip Barber related. But with that being said, that'll round out tonight's grid of 14 drivers in tonight's festivities at Daytona International Speedway, at least from a results perspective, because now we head into tonight's interviews. Again, I'm going to have to take another swig of water because, man, this many laps just wrecks your vocal cords, but well, that can be a topic for a different day, as we got to go to Woody Mahan, tonight's 3rd place finisher there. The first time we'll get the honor of interviewing him in this series, and A great race for Woody tonight, so let's throw up his name there, and we'll get ready for the first interview of the night. Hey, Woody, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
I do got a copy.
Awesome. Well, first of all, Woody, congratulations. It feels like you've just had an absolute barn burner of a start to our series. I mean, you started off the All-Star race where you came easily within half a lap of winning the entire thing. Just an unfortunately timed caution there at the end put you out of that one. So you started off our series with a bang. You came out a couple weeks ago and you finished second at the Roval, which I know, to my understanding, you were definitely a good open wheel guy, and you were also good at the ovals. So that kind of proves you were just a jack of all trades. It takes a very specific kind of driver to win in a Skippy race, or at least to come close. But well, coming into tonight, I wasn't sure what to expect from you, but then you took the pole lap, something that only two other guys have done in our series this season, that being, three, Andrew Bedrosian, Logan Paxson, and Michael Krobach. So you became our fourth pole sitter of the season, and then you just had a great race overall. I know the chaos there at the end with the crash with the lad pedal guys kind of put you out. So overall, just kind of summarize I believe your first NASCAR Cup Series race of our series, but just overall, what was the race like for you tonight? Did you feel like you could have done better in a third place if things had gone a little differently? Just kind of run us through the very end of that race.
From the word go, my plan is I was going to try to lead every single lap, but that quickly in plate racing that quickly goes out the window as soon as somebody builds some momentum. But towards the end, it was I kind of got a little crazy going to the tri-oval and slid down through the grass and clipped our cone friend there at the end. And so I was kind of hanging back, seeing if it was something that I could get a black flag cleared or not, because I was kind of on my last lap. I needed to pit. So once I got the black flag cleared, it was okay. We got to resaddle up and ride to the front. And Josh Gallagher gave me he gave take all the credit. He pushed me all the way to the front right there.
Yeah, I mean, you guys there, the Lad Pedal Motorsports affiliate, you guys all seem to have it just working tonight. I know at a race at Talladega to start the season, they were all working together great, and they added a couple more names in before the end of the season tonight. But yeah, I mean, you guys worked together great. Josh was giving great pushes, and you came close to the lead a couple times. I think you were leading with 20 to go or something there, and you guys were all jostling around for position. Really talking about lad pedal, or I should say restrictor plate racing in general. I mean, when you're up in the lead there, what's the strategy that late in a race? Like, what's going through your head defensively? I know you talked about leading every lap, but despite doing so at the beginning, what's it like defending here? It's such a difficult restrictor plate track like Daytona, and on top of that, what is it like to try to defend from your own teammates?
So the hardest thing about the defensive part of it is, like, you have to, the time you hesitate is when you cause the wreck. So you got to everything has to be deliberate. So if you're going to make the move, if you're going to step up a lane or something like that, is the moment you hesitate is the moment that the momentum from like a top lane or a bottom lane, that's when you get absolutely ran over. So defending is it's a very, very risky game.
Yeah, I absolutely, and that was evident from several guys who just kind of seemed to get a little bit off the pace and got squirrely while trying to lead up front. And it's probably a lot to take into account for sure. I was talking earlier in the broadcast of just how many things you have to keep in mind throughout a restrictor plate race, and you were seeming to balance it all pretty well. I'd imagine if you were leading just a couple laps later in the race with a couple to go, you would have been an absolute force to be reckoned with defensively. But well, overall, yeah, that unfortunate incident late just meant that a couple of guys got shuffled out of line. I think you had a little bit of damage there at the end, but just generally. What was your strategy coming into tonight? I mean, I'm not actually too familiar with what your experience is in the background. I know you've been with Lad Pedal Motorsports for a while, but in terms of your experience, were you confident coming into tonight? What were you expecting? And what were you expecting to run the pole lap, let alone be as quick as you were tonight?
I can tell you, so I've been racing, and we'll say Papyrus, who Steve Myers, who's iRacing's thing. I've been driving his software since I was, I don't know, I was born in 1987. So what's that? Makes me 7 or 8 years old. And since IndyCar racing came out, that was my first experience with it. So like when I was younger and NASCAR came out, like literally the only track in which you could run wide open was Talladega. They didn't have Daytona at that time. So like a fair share of my youth was spent driving around Talladega, pushing everybody else around. You wreck and you hit Shift R, and then you go right back to the beginning. So, like, plate racing is kind of where I really started racing on the computer.
And that experience was very evident tonight, as it has been with the last couple of large ovals you've been at, including Indianapolis earlier in the season. So, well, it's good to see that long time experience has helped you, and I know that it's, by the sounds of it, you're a force in iRacing in your own life. You're even quicker. I think Michael said you were the first guy that ever won under the Daytona Motorsports name. So, well, you bring a lot of experience and a lot of skill and a lot of speed into our series. I'm not sure if you'll be able to run with us next week at Darlington. I'm not sure what your plans are for that, but it'd be very fitting to round off our series with a guy as quick as you and see if you can finally get your first win in the series, because now you're 3 podiums in. You're getting closer and closer, and between Roval and tonight, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. And as we always do at the end of our interviews, is there anybody at home you want to give a shout-out to, any sponsors you want to give a shout-out to on your end?
So before the race tonight, I was trying to find me a nice Ricky Rudd paint job. I couldn't find one fast enough to jump in here, but the guys at Loud Pedal, obviously all the new guys that Mike brought in that race in this Karts to Computers League, a shout out to those guys. Plate racing is a heck of a lot easier when there's 6 of you. You can kind of control everything. And obviously all the other guys at Loud Pedal Motorsports, there's a whole bag full of them over there on the other side. To you, this is I appreciate what you do, and it looks like you put a lot of effort into it, man. So thank you for letting me race with you guys.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I'd give more of a thanks to you than the other way around, is because you've just brought a lot of talent. You brought a lot of excitement. It feels like whenever you're up front battling for position, it's always a pleasure to watch on the broadcast side. So yeah, it's a pleasure to run. It's a pleasure to have you on our series, and even if I think in the current iteration of our series, next week will be our final Karts to Computer Series race, at least for the time being. Well, it would be a pleasure to have you if you'd be able to make it out. So hopefully you'll be able to. Hopefully you'll have a good rest of your week. And just a pleasure to have you, Woody. Looking forward to seeing what you do going forward on iRacing in general.
Thank you, Marshall. Go Honda.
Fair enough. Well, with that being said, that'll finish off our first interview of the night with Mr. Woody Mahan. Now we head on to second place finisher, a guy who we talk to quite often in the series, Mr. Andrew Bedrosian. Hey, Andrew, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, first of all, I mean, tonight was big stakes for you in terms of a championship perspective. I mean, you came into tonight for finally second place in the points. I think it had been Michael and Logan in the top 2 for the entire season so far. But you came up into the second place spot in the standings, and you didn't look back. You did everything you needed to tonight. And I know that the late crash between a couple of ULPM guys, it kind of put a lot of you out of contention for the win. And this may have turned out differently if that hadn't happened. But well, you had a great race tonight, and even if Michael came away with the win, which I think should put him in the lead in championship points, he'll go into Darlington next week, a track that I know you two will be very quick at. But overall, like, coming into tonight, I mean, it's kind of the only wild card race of our playoffs here tonight at Daytona International. So, well, first of all, what's your experience like at restrictor plate tracks? How much experience do you have with kind of the aspect of battling with cars around you and stuff like that? And then just what were you expecting for tonight's race?
I mean, I really didn't have that much confidence. I mean, I don't think anybody could have that much confidence in themselves because it's such a gamble race and a wild card. But basically, like, I do have a lot of experience with NASCAR, knowing all the different type of drafts you could pull off. Just basically the experience of looking at a car and recognizing what sort of situation, like if 2 cars are next to each other, they basically cancel out in a draft, and you could take advantage of that. It's basically those things that matter when you're in different type of situations. But yeah, like all the experience from my oval, because I come from oval racing and NASCAR, so it definitely paid off tonight.
Yeah, it definitely seemed to. And well, from the perspective of the general race overall, I know even if you have everything right from an individual perspective, like you feel quick on the track, you know your line, everything like that, well, it's so heavily relying on the guys around you. And I know at the beginning of the season at Talladega, you weren't officially part of Loud Pedal Motorsports yet. I mean, you and Michael had a pretty good pretty good relationship going there. You guys were giving each other good drafts to start off the season. But since then, I mean, now that you've moved into the Lad Pedal Motorsports affiliate and you've got plenty of guys around you all kind of sharing the same goal there to help out the team, what's that like? Like, kind of compare tonight to Talladega, and what's it like to have that many guys around you supporting you, like, draft-wise?
It actually, it's more overwhelming than guys going against you, because I did have to give a couple of my teammates, because Michael and I are the priority cars to win this championship. So our teammates really want to give us the best help and just give us a boost. But yeah, like, it's really overwhelming because you have to keep giving them reminders. Don't get too close, because I was actually driving the Camaro tonight, so it had a pointed nose. Flat bumper for most of it, but it comes out to be sort of a triangle shape. And I had to let off a couple of times to not clip Michael's back bumper and turn him around. And I did almost get freight trained by Woody, Devin, and Rich. So I did have to keep giving these guys some advice on keeping your line tight if you're running that bottom line, just to stop any chance of us wrecking. Sadly, I did wreck most of my team by accident. I got the clear from my spotter. I tried to whip it down to the bottom line to get in front of Woody, because I knew he was a great and aggressive bump drafter. So just didn't work out the way I planned it. But yeah, it really is overwhelming to have that many teammates, but still a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. And at Daytona, I mean, I personally never put the blame on anybody for incidents. When you're running restricted plate tracks at 200 plus miles an hour, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You just got a little bit loose, and it happens. And I was impressed you were able to save it, first of all, and everybody was able to keep it clean. No caution came out of it, which iRacing was very bizarre with cautions all throughout the race, I will say. But well, speaking of next week, so now we finish off here at Daytona. I think Michael will take the points lead from you, but you're going to be close. You two are going to be neck and neck in points. And then you've got Logan Paxa, who will now have about a 10-point buffer back into the third spot. But, I mean, you can never count him out of races. But as we head into Darlington, I know Michael may have picked it in the Ulster race, meaning he's got a lot of confidence there. But if it's a tire management race and it's if it's a difficult NASCAR oval, I mean, how confident are you feeling? That seems like a race that would kind of appeal to your strong suits.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, I'm really confident in my car and my team, even in myself, to go and take that win at Darlington. It's a track I really love, even to love to win at, because it's such a historic track in NASCAR. But yeah, I won at Pocono, where tire wear was the biggest thing, and I took that away from Michael. So hopefully I can do that again. In terms of Logan, we're planning on pretty much leaving him in the dust and just letting the rest of our team take care of him, whether that's just trail breaking. But I mean, that top line is going to be where it's at. Who can get up close and comfortable with that, running that wall, sort of like Bristol. I know I am. Michael and I were practicing. It should be a really fun race just to watch and to be a driver.
Well, looking forward to seeing exactly how fun it is to watch. And I mean, Logan Paxa, I know he may not be the biggest oval name in our series, especially not compared to you and Michael, but man, I know he's going to try his very best. And tonight he just got absolutely screwed over with luck. So, and never the way that you want to see somebody's championship campaign end. So I'm hoping for the best for him, but I'm also hoping for the best for you and Michael. And overall, I think it'll be an absolute barn burner of a race. Especially, I didn't own Darlington up until this week, so doing some early testing, it's a really fun track. So I'm looking forward to getting to broadcast.
Yeah, there. I think it was one of the first Southern super speedways, so it's a really fun track.
Well, on top of that, as I mentioned a couple of times in the last couple of broadcasts, it was the first place that NASCAR went back to after they restarted after COVID, and I think they held the first 6 races of the NASCAR calendar there. So it's kind of got a kind of a poetic end to our series, if indeed it is in the current iteration, than to end it there, just the way that kind of COVID started to start off this whole adventure. So it'll be kind of a fitting way to end the season. It'll be a pleasure to go there. But well, as we do at the end of all of our interviews, it's now your chance to give a shout out to anybody at home. I know you have some. I didn't actually get a chance to check the chat until right now. My chat on the YouTube side's been broken, but looking back, you did have a couple of supporters there on the YouTube side, and I know you got a couple of sponsors to shout out. So now is your time to do so.
Yeah, I want to really thank my family and friends for supporting me. I want to thank Bedford School. They've been really great throughout the season. Stainless Realtors, Buckland Billiards, and JP West Photo. Everybody's been really great. Love being on this team. Thank you for putting on this broadcast.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's always a pleasure to, and part of me is sad to have to end it next week, and well, I'm sure there will be other commitments and other series in the future, but to end off the series next week, it's been a pleasure to have you and so many guys. I've had a lot of fun calling many of these races, so it'll be a shame to end it next week, but it's been a pleasure to have you out all season. I know you're one of the most dedicated guys, always out in practice, so it's paying off. You're heading into the championship next week, about as close as you could come to the championship lead. So, well, best of luck to you next week. You got a lot to practice for, and I guess we'll see you out next Friday.
All right, thank you.
Well, with that being said, we round off your second to final interview of the night. I know it's getting very late, and I did just mention it there, but I did, throughout the course of the race, my broadcast side has shown me that I have no chat messages, and I thought I was just very lonely the entire time, and I thought not many people were talking in the chat, or none at all. But by the looks of it, checking my phone on the YouTube side as a viewer, I have plenty. So I apologize for that, ladies and gentlemen. I can probably go through your chat messages now, but by the looks of it, it's either questions that have been answered or people complaining about the cautions, which I absolutely would complain about too. Part of people were asking, being like, you should throw one. I came close, but part of the entire point of having them automatically is to just put it in iRacing's hands, and I feel like it was kind of a conflict of interest if I were to hop in and throw one myself on top of iRacing. So it was close. That is partially on me. That absolutely should have been a caution. Both the incident there between the LPM guys at the end, because Woody completely went around at the time, and then the Marshall Logan incidents should have. But there were 3 separate times this race that I would have personally called cautions, but iRacing decided not to. So apologies that I missed out on the chat there. I just didn't have it on my side. It just showed up blank. So apologies for that. Hopefully it was a good enough race. I mean, it allowed me to focus a little more, but by the end of that race, my voice was dying and I was running out of things to talk about. But, well, I never seem to have that problem in the interviews, especially not with your race winner tonight, the final guy we will talk to, Mr. Michael Krobach. Let's just pull him in the booth right now. Hey, Michael, it's Marshall in the booth. You got me?
Well, how's it going?
It is going pretty well, but as I always say, I'd imagine it's going even better for yourself, getting your 6th win of the season this year and 4th oval win. I know you won 2 at the road courses and kind of proved you were a jack of all trades this season, but well, you needed to win tonight. I mean, you were 3rd for the first time in points coming into tonight's race, and you had to knock it out of the park to do so. And I'd imagine, Michael, this probably couldn't have gone much better for you from a points perspective. The LPM guys were dominant all day. I know Logan got in an incident early that just put him behind the 8 ball, and he just had bad luck all race. So from a points perspective, it couldn't have gone much better. Just kind of what is your first instinct after tonight's race? How are you feeling?
Raced in with a heavy heart tonight. I lost my former team owner on Wednesday, Bryce Woodson. He passed away with the battle from leukemia. He fought to the end. He never quit, and this one's for him. I won on Wednesday night, found out shortly after, didn't really get to celebrate, and tonight this one is definitely for Bryce. He brought HPP to our team. He coached me on what teamwork meant, brought a lot of good guys to Woodson Motorsports back in the day. Made some of my closest friendships through him. I'm just really heartbroken that he's gone. But I know he loves racing. He worked for Hendrick Motorsports in aerodynamics, and he loved NASCAR. One of his passions in life, and I'm just happy to park this thing in victory lane for him. I didn't think that would happen at the start of the race when we were pointing towards the sky in turn 1. So I'm really thankful we pairs. I don't know what happened. I just saw I think the 9 and the 6 got together and got me in the left rear quarter panel, and we were barrel rolling. So that theme song that I sent definitely applied to Daytona. We did a barrel roll. We did a multiple barrel rolls. We got the car fixed, and I kind of just wanted to ride. Talladega, we managed to run the whole race incident free on the number 3 team, but we got it in lap 1, turn 1 this time. So it all balances out, I guess. And just wanted to keep the second faster pair just in the bank for most of the race. And I got a really bad restart one time. I think the actual last restart that we ran caution free to the end, I was in fourth gear talking on the race control channel and just was not paying attention, and I did not go. And so Josh pushed me back up to the lead pack. And so if it wasn't for him pushing me, we were like 4 seconds back, and we erased that deficit and got right back to the front. So I got to give a huge thanks to Josh for getting me up front and just in position there. We were in control for a little bit, but second and third, if they form up, they just go right on by you. And we fell back a little bit to fourth or so, and Andy was working the top, and I was trying to help him, push him to the front, and I don't know what happened. It didn't say on the team, the number one rule is to not wreck your teammates, and I think something happened. I don't know. I'm not mad at any of them, but I think three or four of the teammates got together, which as a team owner, you don't want to see that happen. And me and Logan were just lucky to skate on by on the top. I saw them kind of wrecking to my inside, and I kind of cranked it towards the wall, and we just barely got by inches there. And it was just about kind of managing the gap to Andy in second place at that point. And Logan, I know he had a rough night. He lost a couple laps there, so happy to see him get at least a lap back there at the end. But yeah, it was up and down night. Happy to win again. Happy to be on leading the points. I think we're up by 3, which is good going into Darlington. But didn't think it would end this way, being skyward on lap 1, but we made it work.
Yeah, it did. It took quite the adventure back after that. One of the biggest crashes I've ever seen, followed by one of the best races I've ever seen. And well, first of all, absolute condolences to on behalf of your team owner and his family. And yeah, it's just unfortunate to hear. But I'd imagine, I mean, everything you could have done tonight, especially at such an iconic track, especially if he worked for Hendrick. I mean, kind of fitting tonight that you'd win at Daytona. You'd do so in not exactly an easy way, as you mentioned, the huge crash at the beginning and that restart. That, I mean, you mentioned Josh was a huge help. Woody said the exact same thing, that Josh was a great pusher all night. So, well, you guys up there in the LPM side were working together great, and yeah, by the end that little incident put quite a few guys out of commission, but. Yeah, I mean, tonight was pretty cut and dry for you. You got back to the front, you took off, and by the end, you just had a pretty calm couple laps there at the end with Logan, quite fittingly enough. So we'll see what he's able to put up, what kind of fight he's able to put up next week at Darlington. But speaking of Darlington, I mean, it was your all-star race pick. It's one that, by the sounds of it, you and Andrew have been practicing for a little while. Just what's the confidence level at coming off a win at a NASCAR race, going into another one at Darlington, the one that you've picked? Just final race of the series, final race of the season, looking for a championship. What are the thoughts heading into Darlington?
Yeah, we ran there just by happenstance. I didn't check the schedule in advance, but my Wednesday league had that race the other day, and we have a tire limit in that series, and we were green the first half of the race, and so I pitted at halfway to get my set of tires, and got back on the lead lap. Some guys had stayed out, and then the caution came out about 10 laps later, and those guys still had a set of tires. And so I thought, our race was done there, but we were able to hold them off. Tire management is just so important at Darlington. And, if you're on older tires, it shouldn't be really an issue in our league because we don't have a tire limit. So it'll probably be, tire management for a run, but not worrying about running out of a set of tires at the end. But that was, good momentum winning there the other day. So hopefully it's a different car. It's the Xfinity car. So I think tire wear on that is a little bit more than the Cup car. But hopefully it'll translate over. I think we learned a few things setup-wise that'll make us, have a good shot there next week. But it'll all be about keeping the right front tire under the car and not getting an infamous Darlington stripe because that can hurt your aerodynamics. And for a mid-length oval, it's 1.366 miles. Aero still matters. It's drives like a short track a little bit, but you still got to keep all fenders on it. So. Hopefully the practice will pay off. Learned a few setup tricks. We'll see what we can apply to the Cup car next week, and see how it goes. So looking forward to it.
As am I. More so than any other race we've run this season. I just have no idea what to expect because I'm not familiar with Darlington in the slightest. Besides it being the track too tough to tame is all I really know of it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you and the other championship guys do. I thank you for putting the current points there in the comments. It's 9 points separating the top 3, and I know Logan is now behind the 8 ball. It actually the points entirely flipped between the top 3 tonight. So interestingly enough, they're heading into Darlington. So that'll be a huge race. Can't wait to see how that turns out. But overall, I mean, obviously you got some shout outs to give and some things to mention. But I'll just give you your time, sponsors and et cetera.
Yeah, just gotta thank everybody at Live Pedal Motorsports. We had a strong team effort tonight. We had 6 cars in the field. So again, Josh for the push, Andy working together there, Rich, Devin. Um, it was great to have everybody up front there. I know Woody had a really strong car, and I would have been curious to race him out. I know he was pretty confident heading into it, but it was great to have such a good turnout from the team and just have everybody work together so well for so long. And got to thank HPP Simulation, Clipping That Apex, Thumbs Up Cancer, Ready to Frag, Fleximation Systems, Sim Racing Apps, Host Venom, CJ Automotive, Amsoil by Adam Blattle, Spotlight, and I got to thank Nick Cohan, who's working on a new paint scheme that I'll run next week at Darlington in tribute to my team owner, Bryce Woodson.
Well, again, my absolute condolences to you and his family. And yeah, I mean, a fitting way to end the season. It's it'll be a good tribute. And I know you've been running the same livery for all time for the entire season. Probably the nicest one in the series, but it'll be cool to see it switched up a little bit. And overall, it's just been an absolute pleasure to have you this season. You did everything you needed to tonight. I mean, you came in tonight knowing that you were behind 2 other guys in the points, which is a rarity for this season and really for the entire series as a whole. I don't think you've ever been behind second in the points. So you did what you needed to do. You're a new points leader, and well, I mean, the ball's in your court, Michael. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with it heading into Darlington.
Thanks, Marshall. Thanks for putting on the league. It was great to have some new faces out there tonight. That was a lot of fun having some guys to draft with, and I hope they come back. And it'd be fun to run in that Skippy series sometime. That sounds like a blast too. So thanks for running the show and just managing everything, putting on great broadcasts. Thanks all the fans who tune into these broadcasts every Friday night. It means a lot to have some people watching and cheering all the drivers on and stuff. And I definitely love scrolling through the chat comments and seeing everybody up there. So shout out to all them who are watching.
Absolutely. Shout out to all you guys. Shout out to, really all the LPM guys as well as you. And yeah, overall, I mean, it'd be a pleasure to have you in the Skippy League whenever you're able to make it out. And yeah, I have the feeling if they're looking to come back, any of the guys, Austin, Carl, or Keith that ran tonight, I'm sure they'd be pretty happy to come back out for Darlington next week if they're able. And I certainly would. So, well, have a great rest of your week, Michael. Have a great rest of your weekend. Again, my condolences are with you. And yeah, just have a great rest of your night, celebrating if you'd like.
Thanks, man. And there's a website, bethematch.org. They look for donors to fight leukemia. So if that's something that you're open to doing, check out bethematch.org. Thanks.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Well, with that being said, rounding it off on a bit of a, I don't know. I'm not even sure how I'd put that, but overall, just it was a very long broadcast, but it was action packed for sure all throughout. It was I don't think we've had a race this consistently exciting all throughout since it's maybe our All-Star race or something of that sort. But well, this time I had the pleasure of broadcasting it all the way through, and it was a great time. Daytona just seems to make great races on iRacing at any time I'm in it, even if it's in a rookie series. I find I have an absolutely great time. So hopefully it was just as fun to watch. I'm going to put up the race results one more time. Unfortunately, I don't have the championship results up immediately after the race. There's a whole formula for that unfortunately our point system isn't able to use. But there are your final results for tonight's race. Of course, Krobach, Bedrosian, Mahan are your top 3. Again, shout out to Carl Dronka making his debut tonight for my Thursday series, but finishing in 4th position there. Only a lap down, which, based on the timing from everybody in the top 10, a lap down is virtually nothing in tonight's race, especially not at a super speedway. So, well, absolute pleasure to have him. Absolute pleasure to have all the guys making a one-off performance tonight. Thank you, everybody who came out just to fill out the numbers. And it was a great race. Having that many guys for the first time in a little while was nice. And hopefully all you guys at home can agree that having this many guys in a NASCAR race certainly increases the environment and adds to the racing product, especially at the beginning of the broadcast. Overall, I just want to thank all of you guys for watching once again. I know this is the second to final time I'll be able to say it, as next week we finish our series and our season at Darlington. But overall, I'm sorry about the chat there. I don't. YouTube just didn't tell me there was a chat going on, so unfortunately I didn't have that worked out there. But I mean, we have such a good community of fans watching in the chat that I saw, there was a question that got answered, and everybody was just seemed to be pretty talkative there. And I know there was some support for Andrew, some support for Michael at the end of the race. So it's always just a pleasure to have all you guys watching. And I know sometimes through this series we can have races that are a little bit dull. We can have broadcasts where I'm just off my game. Tonight I did particularly feel like my throat was dying, so apologies if that was at any point evident. But overall, it's just an absolute pleasure to have as many of you guys watching as possible. And I know, as Michael said, that it means a lot to the drivers, and especially if they have specific support from people. So, well, thank you to everybody for coming out to watch. Hopefully, it was it was a very enjoyable final restricted plate race of our season, and it was one that's going to have a huge effect in the championship points. Again, 9 points separating Michael, Andrew, and Logan heading into the final race. So everything is set up for a great season finale, and I'll try to have as much as I can prepared in advance, some videos, some graphics, some interviews, whatever it may be. We'll try to make this the best final broadcast we possibly can. So that'll be next Friday at 7:55 p.m., same as tonight, Friday, August the 28th at Darlington Raceway to round off our series. And overall, again, a quick shout out to Michael and is his former team owner. Just absolutely a good cause. I would definitely say, really, with anything like that, anytime you can donate to things like that, it's one of the most unfortunate widespread killers in the world that really just hasn't been solved yet, which is it's just unfortunate. So absolute shout outs to him, to anybody who's ever had to deal with cancer in the family. It's never something fun, but it's something that I'm glad was brought up, because often I've said, well, we really should have a charity race, but unfortunately it's not the easiest to do, just a lack of drivers and stuff like that. So if in the future something like that were to be put together, that would be awesome. One thing I will mention, so this is not officially in the works. This is officially in the works, but it's not official yet. After the Friday after our final race of the season at Darlington, there is something that I'm putting together where it is we don't have a name for it yet, but I have a concept race where it will be the wives, the sisters, the girlfriends, I was going to call it the Better Halves 200 or whatever, but essentially what it will be is all of the drivers in our series will get one or multiple invitations to whoever would like to come to, as I mentioned, wives, girlfriends, sisters, whoever it may be. Just those of you that maybe be watching or that support them in their daily lives but have never gotten the chance to race. We are putting together an iRacing event where we will run the Skip Barber at an oval, maybe like Charlotte, something pretty simple, pretty easy to run. But we want the people that have never raced in their lives, know nothing about the sport, have never tried to iRace before, and we will have a week where all the drivers from our series will get to teach them what to do, and we'll have a race between people that have never run on iRacing in their lives. So it's a little fun endeavor that we've been putting together for a while. I know that I will certainly, if we're able to get it all put together, I will have my entry. I'm sure it would be a pleasure to have my girlfriend running in that. Best of luck to her if indeed she does decide to do that. But the training regimen will be strict, so be prepared for that. But overall, that's something we're trying to put together just to round off the season, something fun to end off the series. And next week will be very hardcore, very official, because of course we have to crown a champion, especially with the points race as close as we have. I just want to do something a little fun to round off the series. So just to call out, if you were a wife, girlfriend, sister, anything of a driver in our series, and you're kind of unaccustomed to the sport of racing, well, just talk to your family member, whoever they may be in the series, and be like, hey, maybe start training me for that, because I'm sure we can put prize money down on that, or some form, or some sort of prize pack, or whatever it may be. So, just letting you guys all know that's something in the works that I'd like to do. And, hopefully that excites some of you who may be the chosen pick for a driver in our series for that sort of race. But with that being said, that'll round off tonight's festivities. Again, I am Marshall Crocker Jr. I never mention it in these broadcasts. I really should one of these days, because it's a compromise. Either I have the graphic for my name, or I don't have to be on the graphic here, and I think this just looks a lot more professional, which means, unfortunately, I don't have a graphic for myself, but I am Marshall Crocker Jr. as always, and it's just an absolute pleasure to run this series. I also run a Thursday series on Fridays, the one that a couple of guys have swapped in through for Skip Barber Racing, so I'm very busy with racing commitments now through iRacing throughout the week, but I'm so happy to do so, because, even with karting on Saturdays, which, by the way, I'm now 4 for 5 on karting wins, for those of you that are interested in when I update you on karting. So I'm having a great karting season in real life. But on top of that, it's an absolute pleasure to host things like this, and whatever series it may be. Just the joy of having people come out every week and plan it out, and especially to have it broadcast to people on YouTube, as great as you guys are as an audience. So it's been an absolute pleasure to host. I'm going to be sad to end it off next season, at least next race, at least in its current iteration. Again, I'll put something together in the future. I have big plans for ideas for series, ones that'll have far bigger outreach. It won't just be limited to Canadians or people through karting. It'll be anybody. So I'm looking forward to whatever I do in the future, and hopefully all of you guys are too. And again, through the channel or whatever it may be, I will have all of that linked, so you guys will see whatever I and the guys from this series do in the future. But that being said, that'll round off our broadcast tonight from the Daytona International Speedway for I call it the Daytona International 250 here in a night race, which we haven't done a restrictor plate race before. So that'll be round 13, the second to final race of the Karts Computers Racing Series second season. Can't wait to see you guys all out at Darlington next Friday for the final round of our season to crown a champion between Andrew Bedrosian, Michael Krobach, and Logan Paxa. Have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you all Friday.